What is up, everybody? Welcome back, crew member, to another live stream. Thank you for stopping by and hanging out with me. I really appreciate it. Today marks a very special live stream because today we're celebrating 40 consecutive weeks doing the live stream, which is something that going back 7-8 months ago I wouldn't even have thought was gonna be a possibility. And like I've mentioned before on previous live streams, the fact that this is like my Saturday thing, like there's no way that I won't be anywhere else but here on a live stream on Saturdays, and that this is such like an integral part of my week. I always want to thank you for hanging out with me as we go through this together. So with that being said, yeah, today we're celebrating 40 consecutive weeks. Give me 1 second. Make sure. There we go. All right. Well, with that being said, let me see who's here. Let me see. Okay, we got Aaron who made it here first. Okay, why are you coming behind? Oh, you shouldn't be behind it. You should be in front. Let me pull that up just a second. Why are you moving the whole thing now? What's going on? 1 second, guys. Okay. I'm not sure what's going on there, but we will continue. We will march on. Sammy Superstars in the house. How are you doing, sir? Oh man, I'm kind of behind. I don't even have my iPad set up and my sound effects. So let's go ahead and turn this on. Today, well, actually, this has been one incredibly interesting week. If you were here with me last week, a lot of things have changed. A lot of things have changed. Well, one of the biggest things that happened this past week, which is what I'm going to get into about consistency on YouTube. I'm going to be using myself as a prime example because right now we are reaching, or we have reached 40 consecutive weeks. Oh, we got Hassan in the house as well saying hello. Todd Killian. Okay, things seem to be working a little bit better. Let's try to make that a little bigger and a little smaller. Let's try that. There we go. And I'm going to lock that up. So, all right, we have Luis, Nano, Tech for Your Needs in the house. Mr. Gary Jones saying hello to everyone. Kova, the technician, saying hey, peace, saying hello to Tech for Your Needs as well. And he's responding back. Okay, awesome. Okay, well, as I was saying, today marks 40 consecutive weeks of my Saturday live streams. It started on December 5th of 2020, and that's also a pretty significant day because that's the day that I met Doc Rock. Actually got to know who he was by hanging out in his live stream. And I had mentioned before that that was the day that he decided to take it upon himself to give me a quick impromptu channel review. And that sparked him asking me to join the Let's Get Live community, which started this snowball effect of the things that are happening right now. So come full circle that I've been doing a Saturday live stream since December 5th, we've reached all the way to 40 weeks. And when I really put that into perspective, I'm like, in just 12 more weeks, that will complete the year. And I can't even imagine what could come to fruition between now to then, because that's kind of how I left like last week's live stream, basically saying like so much has happened, and yet even more has happened within this last week. So just to get into what happened in this past week before I start getting into longer stories, is Monday I received a package from Ecamm as I was admitted to be one of the moderators for the Ecamm Facebook community. This is a 17,000 member community, and I have the privilege now to be, like within the workings in the background, helping out, helping moderate, because they just saw it within me, because it was just what I was naturally doing. So I was really taken, back, and I'm humbled and grateful for just the opportunity to be part of that. So I'm just hanging out, and this week I've been kind of learning the ropes of being part of, the mod squad. So as you can see, unofficial Ecamm moderator. And if you're asking, yeah, I've been using Ecamm for my live streams, which is what allows me to do everything that I'm doing here, including switching angles like that and giving all the different aspects of what I do with my live streams. What allows me to bring the comments up onto the screen and just interact with you guys is all done through Ecamm. And for those of you who have been with me since December, like Randall, I don't know if he's here, but Randall definitely has seen most of my live streams, with the fact of some of them just rebooting when I was on the Windows machines. And it really goes to, that's just coming full circle, that when I found Ecamm and now naturally just started, using that program, is when I became part of the community within Facebook. And now I have this, I'm just seeing it as an opportunity. So within the workings of just me learning the ropes, this week, I'm going to be moderating for the upcoming virtual event that's hosted by Ecamm called Leap into Livestream. So if anyone here has ever thought about doing this, what I'm doing right now, and you've thought about, like maybe that's something that I was thinking about doing or pursuing, or even just learning anything about making this sustainable as a business, Nick Nimmin is someone that I participate in his live streams weekly, and he always mentions that even if you started this for fun, it's always great to take it seriously. So if you're thinking about taking it seriously, then I highly recommend you going to this virtual event, because it's this month. It's in a couple of weeks from now, which is the 13th through the 16th, and it's virtual. Now the pass, the admittance fee is $20, which is a drop in the bucket when it comes to what you're actually getting, because you're going to be getting a bunch of trial programs that basically accumulate to $240. So you're getting a $240 value in programs like Descript, and just there's too many to mention right off the bat. But that's not even including the value that you're going to be getting from these speakers that are pretty well known within our space here. And I'm about to try to almost like not let the cat out of the bag. I was already going to participate, so I was asked to moderate for that virtual event, and that started this whole thing that I was like, I'm super excited to moderate for the Leap into Livestream virtual event that leads me to moderate for the eCam completely. And then within just this week, and I really mean just within the last couple of days, they were having a discussion. They were like, hey, we need some help with a particular event on the last day of Leap into Livestream. And I've been working, for those of you who know, with Doc Rock, and it was his panel. So it's a discussion that he was going to be having about cameras, and I'm a camera junkie, that they just asked if anyone could help with the event. And I'm being completely honest. I was like, okay, no problem. I'll help you with whatever it is that you need. And my mentality going into it was, I'm thinking that they needed someone to moderate, particularly that chat for that event. So as I offer myself up to help in anything that's needed, it ends up that they needed a panel member, and it just felt like all the stars aligned perfectly that I am now going to be a guest speaker at this Leap into Livestream event, on the last day, talking Doc Rock and talking about camera gear, what you should and shouldn't buy, just everything that basically my channel is about. And I'm like extremely excited because Doc Rock himself had mentioned that last year he went to this same event, Leap into Livestream, which started his journey in this space, which is what led to the Vlogmas that he did last year, which is how I met him. So it's like this entire snowball effect that's just continuously growing. And he talks about it right now, that last year, after going into the Leap into Livestream event, he wrote in the Facebook group, hey, I'm going to be speaking at one of these events next year. And it didn't even take a year for that to come to fruition, because he actually became, was speaking at an event earlier in the year. So I didn't go public with it because, in all sincerity, I didn't even know Leap into Livestream existed last year, when I'm starting everything coming at the beginning of December. So when I'm starting to hit the gas with my channel here and what we're doing with the Camera Junkie crew, I kind of put it into myself, just working in the backgrounds right now, saying this is so cool, this Leap into Livestream and this virtual event. And hearing Doc say himself that last year he, proclaimed I'm going to be speaking at one of these events, I was like, I can't wait to see when's going to be. Excuse me. Let me get a little water here. That I just said it to myself. I was like, I wonder what's going to be my first event that I'm going to speak at. I wonder how that would be and when it would be. I was just kind of just daydreaming about when was going to be my first event. And little did I know that I didn't have to wait till next year. I had put it into myself. I was like, I'll be speaking at this next year, and it didn't even take next year. It took me starting my channel in December last year to come and bring everything to fruition, to me speaking at an event that I was already hoping to speak at next year, this year. The year that I found out about it, and now I am gonna get to go have fun and hang out with Doc Rock on a live stream and talk, the same conversation that I've been doing weekly here, helping everyone out with whatever questions that they have as far as cameras, just an open discussion of how to get better with everything that we're doing, because a lot of us here are also, on the platform doing their own thing. So it's just amazing that within a week I went from moderating the event to now participating in the event. And that's where I just stay in awe, and I'm really shocked. I'm really humbled and super grateful, because things really just start happening. And I think the one thing I'm proud of doing myself is that I haven't really put a limit on what this could be. I haven't said like, this is something that I want to do. Is like, what I'm doing with my channel more than anything is that I'm having fun and I'm helping people. So I think those are the two main things that are opening these doors and these opportunities. And I really can't wait. I can't wait for the experience that's going to happen in October, which is the People of Video conference. And that's an actual conference in Albany, New York, that I'm ecstatic to go to, because there's so many people that I've connected with on this platform that are going to be there and that I can't wait to meet. And that was all just this week. Like, I've been speaking for a good 15 minutes, I think, and that was just this week. So let me get back to the chats to see what you guys been talking about here. So okay, this is where I left off. I got an A7C and the lens was loving it, so I got a second one. Showed up my Amazon today and used let's move that out there. Decided to send it back and get it from B&H. Glad I did, because I was eligible for educational discount, says here, and save $800. Okay. Oh, thank you, Peter. Peter just bought me a couple cups of coffee. You're amazing, Peter. You're probably in the chat. I'm gonna be getting to it right now. I'm working on the chat. It says, I hope B&H don't sell returns. I don't know exactly how B&H works, but I think they're pretty good on it. He said, Gary saying congratulations on the accomplishment. Melanie, how are you doing? She's saying time is flying. Yeah, it is. Time it's relentless. That's what time is. It's just never ending. It just keeps going. That's why one of the biggest things that I always say is make the most of your time. And I want to thank you for, or anyone that's here that was on the live stream with Doc Rock, because I can't even take that. That's also another opportunity that I was like, that. First of all, that was super fun. And for those of you who followed us on the trilogy today, we had some technical difficulties with internet, and I really actually think it was all YouTube. The situations that we dealt with, I forgot to mention that to Doc, because even before we started, like, things were acting a little buggy, and he even mentioned that comments that were left from the day before were missing, and just not everything was 100%, but we worked it out. It's very interesting, and for those of you who don't know, you can go to Doc Rock's web YouTube page, and there's gonna be three live stream conversations that we had today. The first one's 15 minutes, and the other two are like 45 minutes, around there, because halfway through that other conversation just completely lost connection, and we had to reboot computers and do everything to just log back in and then finish off the conversation with the trilogy. But it was a lot of fun. Doc Rock is amazing, and just like that brother from another mother, man. I'm so fortunate to have found such a like-minded individual as well, and someone who's actually mentoring me to be a better version of me. So it's just forever grateful for that man, and I'm just dope squad, man. That's my boy. But yeah, so let's go back to this. Melanie saying time is flying. Yes, it's relentless. It says great job. Consistency is key. Absolutely, because that's the whole thing. Being here no matter what. And I also tell you guys that there was times like that I was just so tired that I didn't feel like I was just gonna go live, but I did it anyway to keep the consistency. I'm like, how could I, that I already feel that would be so selfish of me, like that would be selfish of me to just flop on you guys, on this community, on the Camera Junkie crew. So just know ahead of time like that there's no plan on stopping. Like there's no plan whatsoever. And if anything ever were to drastically happen, not just me being tired, but just something drastically were to happen that that I wouldn't be able to make a live stream, every single person here would definitely already know about that. But going back to it, to finish off the week, I was fortunate enough to do a live stream with Doc Rock. And when I scheduled the live stream with Doc Rock was just last week, and that was before I even knew that I was going to be a moderator for Ecamm. So it was just like, it's just like I said, like all the stars aligned, because what are the chances that all of this happens, and then I'm also now going to be a guest speaker at this virtual event, all within the same week, where I'm having an interview with Doc Rock. And also next week I have scheduled to be on a podcast with Ash Borland. He's another community member of the Let's Get Live. He has a podcast all about branding, and I have the fortunate opportunity to be on his podcast, and that's gonna be on the 8th. So I'm waking up early morning to do that, and I'm just making myself available to whoever needs help. Another thing is that I'm also going to start doing freelance editing for people who need help with editing, or whether it's just that they have too much work, or just anything in general, because it's another way that I could monetize and stay within the platform. Because it's like, I love this space so much that I want to spend my time here. So if I have a way to make money, a way to pay the bills, where I'm also providing value for this same community that I love so much, I'm all for it. So I think it's a perfect combination where I can help creators that like Doc Rock. I'm editing for Doc Rock because he's still an editor, and he's got so many projects that are on his table that he still needs help to just get the regular pieces of content on his channel up and going. So those are all the, like the benefits that a nice symbiotic relationship could bring about, and that's what I'm hoping to create with other creators on the platform as well. So just build upon that and give a good service and provide help in any way, shape, or form, because there's a lot of people who maybe have the ability to record themselves but don't have the skills to edit, and want to produce something of quality right from the bat, that I can provide a service and we can meet at the middle, as we both learn. And I had mentioned it before, it's kind of like a chef who's learning to cook with somebody else's ingredients. So as somebody else brings me the footage and I'm able to put my work and skills to work with that footage, It just allows me to hone my own skills even better, so that when I bring my own footage, my own ingredients, I'm able to reproduce similar type meals or in my style, but even faster. So that's just kind of like the analogy that I put into it. Sammy saying, wow, there's an educational discount at B&H. Yeah, there usually is for a lot of things. Melanie saying, amazing, congrats. Todd saying he's got his ticket. Said she loved the conversation with Doc, says Melanie. Thank you. It's so much fun. And the cool thing is that that's very similar to the conversations that I have with Doc, you know, in the background, you know, just on the one-on-one. He's super cool, and we always have so much fun, and we're always joking around. I can't tell you, that man makes me laugh so much. Says Doc is amazing. He's awesome, man. Says, yes, Sammy, I had no idea. I saved $800. That's super cool, man. Says, now I just need to sell my old cameras. I believe you're part of the eCam community. I don't know if you know, or maybe you're already part of it, but there's also an eCam like sellers group for, you know, stuff like that. You should be able to put that on there and have somebody that's interested in getting or upgrading their kit within the community. You should do good there. How do you get an educational discount? And Aaron says, just log on via educational establishment. Okay, there you go. And there's Peter saying, happy Labor Day weekend. Thank you, sir. That's right, it is Labor Day, and thank you for the coffee and the support, sir. Is always extremely and highly appreciated. Just thank you for all the love and support. Just know that it's reciprocated. Oh, talking about that, Peter, I had called you during the week and I didn't get a hold of you. I tried a couple of different times, but there is a special individual here, which is Mr. Todd Killian here, which he's part of the Just Create More community that Tom, Buck, and Heather Ramirez have created on the Mighty Networks platform. And he's all about Christmas. And when we got to talking, and I think Tom agrees, I was like, we were both thinking like, he needs to meet you and you need to meet him. I believe he was in the live stream on Friday. I could be wrong. I was really tired and I started dozing off towards the end of it. But I believe he was there, and he really would like to get in contact with you. I just want to make sure that it's okay that I can just pass over your email to him so that he can email you directly so that you guys can get in contact. I think that personally, I think that you guys need to speak. It's just Christmas, and he's actually very excited about your album as well. So you guys need to speak. Jared is saying, congrats on 40 streams. Oh, we are frozen? How long have I been frozen? Okay, let me see. Hey guys, can you just write in the chat, are you seeing me correctly, or am I frozen on the screen? Yeah. I know there's a delay, so. Okay, John just said that it's frozen. Okay, we're gonna check it one more time. No, it's frozen. Okay. Well, that's why we have two cameras. And we said the side view's okay, so let me just readjust this a little bit. Oh, the messages are here. We're gonna figure this out. All right. Hi. Okay, hopefully I still sound good. It's gonna be a little strange because for me to communicate, I'm really gonna be out of the loop here. Okay, so let me go back to where I was. Peter said, you're awesome, Peter. Sammy's saying hi to Peter. And thank you for the coffee. Here we are. Just hit record. Okay, so this is Ken, right? So just confirm, because I think you just changed your name. This was Ken, the content coach. So if I remember correctly, let me know. I believe that was your avatar, but that would be cool just to confirm. Says, what is my editing rate? Well, I'm starting as a starting editor, and I spoke to Doc Rock, so my rate is 150 per hour, and depending on how many hours you would need for the project, depending on the price. So that's the starting rate for beginning, excuse me, for beginning video editors. And even though I feel like I'm a little bit past just the beginner editor, I'm willing to start at that price just to start, because I'm at the beginning. So I just hope that people that I start working with are people more like Doc Rock, that actually appreciate and already know how to value, like the creative work on this platform. But that's already a shift that's already starting, because of the fact that I even seen one of the individuals from Shark Tank say that the most requested thing from every business right now is micro content. Not content, but micro content. Under a minute, vertical, 59 seconds, 37 seconds, 29 seconds, 15 seconds. They know exactly what people are into, what they're watching, and they already know how that's the attention that they're seeking. So they're actually looking for ways to already have people who have experience making that type of content do it for them, because these companies, these businesses are not going to sit there and start learning how to do YouTube. They're not going to sit there and start learning how to do TikTok. They're going to find the people who do it best, and not always the ones who do it best, but they're going to try to get the cream of the crop, and they're going to pay for people to do it for them. So that's part of the conversations that we're always having within the let's just create more community. And that's one of the things that really impacted me, because I saw that recently, that I was like, wow, the businesses understand where the attention is going, and they're already asking for that type of content. John says, what the H is educational discount? Well, educational discount is that a lot of these software and companies that are providing these products give discounts and special rates to educators. So whether you're a teacher, so on and so forth, like there's an educator's discount for Final Cut Pro, where for $200 through the education discount, Final Cut Pro itself costs $300. It's a one-time payment, which is well worth it. But through the education discount, it's also like a package that you get from the same company. So you end up getting like 5 programs, which is like Logic Pro, Final Cut Pro, compressor for Apple, and I can't remember the other two, but you get 5 programs for $200, and that's the discount, like the bundle. And to think that you can get Logic Pro and Final Cut Pro for $200, that's just amazing. So that's what, educational discount, and you can find it on a lot of different products and like hardware, like B&H, big companies like that constantly do education discounts for cameras, hardware, and things like that. And not only that, because B&H is so big, so they also do audio, video, just so much stuff. Oh, well, thank you. Says the background music is such a vibe. Appreciate it. Oh, talking about that, I felt so bad when I found out that Tom Buck asked me for like the playlist, and I sent him over a playlist of songs that I've already downloaded. And when I download music, I download them through Epidemic Sound with the stems. So if it has lyrics, I remove the lyrics completely because I don't want words. And apparently one of the songs that I sent him in the playlist, he played it directly from Epidemic with the lyrics, and it had some like Rob Valls said that that it had some salty language in it. And apparently that song and those salty words came up on the live stream. So it oh look, I totally went onto this camera when I'm speaking to this one. This sucks. Okay, but still the salty language, and I found that very funny. Okay, can I get my ZV-E10 for cheaper then? Maybe. That you would just have to check, because that really most of the hardware or most of the discounts really does apply to hardware as well. Saying hi to John. Okay, he says, damn, I wish I knew about the discount after spending thousands in the past year. He's saying hi, Ken. Okay, so I was right, it is Ken. So Todd's saying hello to Peter, hello to John, and he's saying thanks. Okay, so I guess we're getting to the point where I was talking about that. Rich said I was frozen. Yep, frozen, but we hear me. That's good stuff. Okay, so we're good with the side view. Todd, love it, frozen. Okay, the side view looks amazing. That's also another thing. This is also a recent upgrade, because that was another thing that I was going to talk about. I think it's already like a month ago that I was on Alicia Way's Creators on the Come Up show that he does on Wednesdays. So I was on his live stream, and when I did his live stream, I was helping him out with his cameras, and he has a mix of Canon M50s, and he had every single iteration of the Sony Alpha APS-C line. So he had the A6100, he had the A6400, and the A6600. And I'm like, what are you doing with all these cameras? And he's like, well, I'm gonna be moving into Sony. I bought these, but I really don't know how to use them completely. So, that's when I come and I'm trying to help him get the most from his equipment. Once we finished speaking, I had mentioned to him, I was like, hey, if for whatever reason, if you decide to sell any of these Sony cameras, just let me know first. I'm gonna see what we can work out, because I'm looking to increase my my collection in cameras, and I love talking about the A6100, but it's really hard to talk about this camera when it's being used. So now that it's being used, and I wanted to have one to demonstrate and actually be able to work on while I'm using the other one to record. So with that being said, he hit me up just this week as well to say, hey, you know what? I'm actually going to be selling one of the cameras, and we worked out an arrangement. So I was able to pick up, I have it here, yep, the newest member of the Camera Junkie crew, which is my new Sony Alpha A6100. So now I have a pair of these, and what I'm thinking is that I'm gonna have matching cameras so that I can have a matching look. The other part of this matching setup is that I use the Sigma 16mm f1.4 on this setup here, and what I was using with this offset camera here and this new angle was the 55mm, so relatively a 50mm look coming out from my second angle. I was able to also get from Eliseo the 30mm f1.4 from the same Sigma series, the contemporary. So it's like the same types of elements and the same warmth and colors that we're getting from the system, but a little bit different focal length. So now, out of the trio of these Sigma lenses, the only one that's missing is the 56, which, because I have two of the three, it's kind of like working up my gas. I said if the right deal shows up, I might end up picking up the 56 as well, just to have the triplets, because I really enjoy the look that I get from the Sigma series glass. So with that being said, I've been able to just really match these colors from this one to this one without a problem at all. And now I have an A6100 with the Sigma 30mm f1.4, which is also giving me great low light. And as you can see, even right now, this is super sharp. Like, I can see what we're seeing here, you know, on the set, and it's just, I'm really happy with the setup. And he made me a deal, he made me an offer I couldn't refuse, you know. So thank you, Eliseo, for the great deal, especially right now when it's very hard to get cameras, you know. And this camera, like my first A6100, I picked up for $500, and if I wanted to get anything remotely to that, it was going to be a lot more than that price. And I was able to get a very similar price on this camera, and that's why, once again, I'm gonna thank Eliseo, because he really just basically gave it to me at the cost that he paid for it when he bought it. It's basically new in the box. I even checked it out. It has 895 shutter clicks, so it doesn't even have 1,000 pictures taken on it. It's in immaculate condition, and like I said, I'm super grateful for that opportunity. And that's just another thing that happened this week. Is just incredible. So, all right, Sammy says, you really look like DJ Khaled, like Doc says. What are you talking about, Sammy? I don't know what you're talking about. He says, yes sir, slight change, channel name change. Okay, but that's cool, because you see, at least your avatar allowed me to recognize who I was speaking to right off the bat. So that was really cool. Consistency is underrated. I started posting to YouTube after 4 videos. I can say that the hardest thing is to finish a roll by Sunday, otherwise it's usually not possible to upload that week. I feel you, man. Like, I've been working on a video for over a week, but I got the A roll down. I've been working on the B roll on it, but the B roll's always a lot easier because you don't need to control the elements. So for me, single father, I usually am dealing with my son here, and he's, you know, playing around, making noise. So to be able to control and get good audio, which is important for me in my videos, it only just makes sense for me to shoot my A rolls when I have the environment like this, like my Saturday nights for the live stream, and where I know that I can control the majority of audio. Like, if the police were to pass by the house right now, you know, with all the sirens and everything, I can't control that. That would just be temporary. But besides that, I would be able to control all the other aspects of this environment, and that's when I shoot my A-roll. Then, you know, it could be like as noisy as possible, but with some headphones you're still able to edit the videos when you get the time to designate to it. So that's another reason why I decided to, you know, also try to help with video editing as well, because like I said, it's something that I don't need the perfect environment to be able to do it. Once the footage is shot, then it's just me to make it magic. And I do love that aspect of content creation. I do. I really enjoy video editing, and it's something that I'm pretty good at, and I know that I'm only gonna get better at. So the more I do it, the better. It says micro content. I'm gonna leave that one alone. This is so true. It says, I recently got a videography gig for someone, and it was to film just a short clip vertical video. Look at that. Let's work that out there. Okay. Yeah, I know about discounts, but I never knew B&H did it. Sammy and I have family members that qualify. Okay, cool. Okay, Scott Rogers is in the house saying what's up. Sammy's laughing. Oh, okay, that's good to know. Aaron says that the ZV-E10 is not eligible due to it being so new, which makes sense. You know, the camera companies, Sony's themselves, they're gonna try to make the most, especially like, that's just the term that we hear a lot, saying strike while the iron's hot. Yeah, you're not gonna like blow the opportunity when your camera is the hottest thing on the market. And for those of you who don't know, I haven't bought the ZV-E10. I doubled down on the A6100 because I am team flip up. I prefer the flip up screen over the flip out screen, and that's my preference. So seeming that the cameras are very similar in that aspect, and I already love my A6100, it made perfect sense for me to pick up another one of these bodies so that it would just like fit perfectly in with my workflow. But now, in all sincerity, if you're just starting and you're just getting a camera, the ZV-E10 is perfect if you're not here trying to match colors on multiple angles with the same type of, you know, look on the camera. So the use case is very different for each person, because the money that you can save on the ZV-E10 comparative to the 6100 new from B&H is substantial. I think that's the best entry-level camera period right now. And the other thing is that every person that's messed with the camera has stayed very impressed with its capabilities and its look. Even the people who have used it to just connect it directly as a webcam, and they've already, like, I've heard some people say like, oh, this automatically just became my favorite camera. So that says a lot about Sony, because I think people get stuck in their ways, but I really think Sony as a company in every way, shape, or form is very innovative. For example, I'll go back to this. I've said this before. I think that this flip up screen is a better system than the flip out screen. The people who use flip out screens and other content creators on the YouTube platform talk about using the flip out screen and it breaking on them, or that it starts getting loose because of this and this and that. I can tell you, I've used this so much and there is nothing loose about it. The hinge on it is pure metal, to the point where I'll show you how I hold my hand. I literally cut my fingers underneath that metal hinge to hold the camera in place. So if I wanted to vlog, this is exactly how I would set it up. And if I wanted to change hands, it becomes that easy to do it. So there's a lot of advantages of why I say, and it's my use case that I say I prefer flip up over the flip out. So the flip out screen was already out and available when Sony came out with this design. The fact that Sony is using flip out screens right now, personally, I think is they're just catering to the masses, because I think Sony put their best foot forward with this design, and people were just so stuck on their ways of saying like, no, I wanted to flip out because of one particular use case. And the fact that they have a multi-function hot shoe that they're able to sell microphones that connect to it is why they decided to, you know, say, hey, let's give them the flip out screen, because I think that this is better in my opinion. And now with that being said, I'll bring into use case another Sony product, the Sony PlayStation controller. Now this is off of the PlayStation 4, but when the first Sony PlayStation came out, they were the first one to have these extensions on the controllers themselves, and they got criticized in the gaming market, you know, compared to Nintendo, TurboGrafx 16, all the old consoles that were around at that time, to come out with a joystick or a controller that had these things sticking out on it. And Sony knew better, and they said, hey, you know what, this is our design, it's ergonomic, it's designed for your hand, and we're moving forward with our design, because they put their first foot forward. And even though they were criticized about it at the beginning, now they lead the market in gaming consoles. And this design right here is the like textbook traditional, or like the go-to design when it comes to any controller, because they put their first foot forward. Even though people criticized them, they were like, this is us, this is how we're gonna do it. And now basically every controller on the market is a somewhat representation of the Sony design from the original cameras. Sony did this with their Sony cameras, what we're talking about right now. They went mirrorless before everyone else. They started putting their best foot forward. People criticized them. They fixed it, and now Sony leads the market in mirrorless cameras and cameras in general, because those are the ones that are being sold the most right now from this past month. And with that being said, I really think that they just catered, like they folded to the market of hearing so many people ask for a flip out screen, and they were like, we thought we did better, but hey, if you want it, we'll give it to you. But I could honestly tell you, the prices might go up on those types of cameras just because of that flip out screen. They're gonna include the cost of the repairs that they're gonna be getting off of the kickbacks. And I'll tell you the truth, I've looked for forums, you know, besides some catastrophic, like really bad event, like, oh, I dropped my camera off of a cliff, you know, something like that, where nothing of the camera has survived. You don't hear day-to-day issues about, hey, my A6100, my A6400, or my A6600 flip-up screen is a little loose, or it's not doing the way it's supposed to, or it just broke because, you know, it like fell over the wrong way. None of that stuff, but yet you already hear that on the flip-out screens on the A7S3, that there's complete videos out there talking about, oh, my you know, like my LCD is loose, and so on and so forth. So I really stick by it. I prefer it as my own personal thing, and that's my opinion, but I also just gave you my 2 cents on the whole thing about it. I really think that Sony did put their best foot forward with this design, and I think people just didn't appreciate it. I, on the other hand, did. So that's why I put my money where my mouth is, and I doubled down on the A6100, because I really think that that's an amazing, amazing camera. Rant over. Oh man, let's see this. I thought I had switched that over. Okay. says sure, not sorry. Okay, I don't know. It says, do any camera companies or resellers do military discount? Anyone knows? That I'm not sure. Oh, and that's what Aaron must have said. I think they flipped those. It says not sure, sorry. I'm thinking about getting the ZV-E10 from Best Buy when they have it. Yeah, and you can get it with the body only. Sammy, did you have the dummy battery for the A6100? Because it'll work just the same. So all the accessories besides cages themselves, like all battery accessories and things like that, plus lenses, obviously are going to work with the ZV-E10 perfectly. 56 is 84 millimeters on Aps-C. But this is my favorite. Actually, yeah, that's what I was saying. But the Sigma, I already have these two. So this will be the 24. This is a 30 millimeter. So with the Aps-C multiplication, it's a 45 millimeter look. So 45 millimeters here, 24 millimeters there, and then the 56 would be the 84 millimeter equivalent, and that would be the trilogy, you know, like the trilogy of like prime lenses that you can have. And the fact that I would have that trilogy with two really good autofocusing camera bodies in the A6100s, I'm super ecstatic, because this was the upgrade that I wanted to do for this channel, and I'm just ecstatic that I was able to get this opportunity as well this week. Yeah, because if it's one thing, the autofocus on these cameras, on the 6100, do far exceed, and especially for video, what you're seeing here right now, because what we're looking at is the A7R2, but I'm using the same Sigma 30 millimeter Aps-C. So even though it's a full frame camera, I'm using it right now for the live stream in Aps-C mode. Sammy says, I really like the look of the second camera. Thank you, I appreciate it. Maybe we can work something out, right? Because, well, definitely we did it for this week, you know, like the extra distance here. Okay, getting some notifications. Let me see. It says, I wouldn't mind the Sony A7C. You know what? This brings me back to this conversation, John, and I know I'm just getting stuck on it. When the A7C was being announced, when it was all rumored, right? It was supposedly a full frame 6600, and I was so excited. I couldn't tell you. I was like, yo, Sony's gonna kill it if they come out with this rangefinder body, right, with the flip up screen. And I was so like, you give us the flip up screen and a full frame sensor, I was like, take my money. I was like, just have my money. Like I was just gonna go all in. I didn't even know how, but I was like, I am for sure getting this camera no matter what. As soon as I saw the flip out screen, I was like, okay. Like all the hopes and it just went away. I was like, oh no, don't. Like I take nothing away from the camera, but seeming that it is basically just an A7 III with a flip out screen. So it was basically like Sony's answer to everyone who was saying, I love my A7 III, but I wish it had a flip out screen, which to me is archaic. That's old technology, and yet you're still clinging on to it because of your old Canon days. That's the way I feel. So I drew my line in the sand a long time ago. But with that being said, right, I feel that like everything that I had as hopes for that camera, the A7C that was eventually, just went away. And I was actually being more realistic with the camera. So I was also fortunate enough to have had my hands on the original Sony Alpha 7. And for anyone who's owned this camera, I think people really lost track on how thin that camera really is, because it was very thin profile, you know, front to back. even though it was full frame. Why? Because it did not have IBIS. So for those of you who don't understand what IBIS is in-body image stabilization, meaning that the sensor is literally floating on a track before, like while it's mounted inside of the camera. There's mechanisms and motors that are moving this to create the IBIS, the image stabilization in the sensor itself, that requires space to actually do the function that we're asking it to do. So with that being said, you can't make that camera as compact as you could the original A7 because it did not have image stabilization, meaning you can take the sensor that was fixed like a piece of film and you can put it as close as possible to the main board, and it was literally part of that unit. So that camera was so thin that my hopes, my dreams was take that thin camera, put the smaller viewfinder on it, right? Even if it was less resolution, but it was something, and give it the flip up screen, no IBIS because you don't have the space for it, fixed sensor, even if it was the same, like the same internals as the original A7, give it, or maybe the only upgrade that the original A7 really needed besides the autofocus that is kind of going to come into play with the upgraded processor. But the only thing that it really was missing was the codecs to film in high definition, or 4K. So add that to the original A7 because you're already going to throw the new processor on there, and then have it completely fixed, 5 frames a second. It doesn't need to be a sports camera. It does good video with an HD codec. I'm not going to get into the codecs right now, but just a newer upgraded codec so that it actually compresses well and you get a good image. That's it. Bare bones. Make it as simple as possible. You don't need 11 frames per second. It wasn't a sports camera, nothing like that. Kind of make it more video centric with a flip up screen. I think that camera would have sold like crazy. But there's a lot of, it's not like the A7C didn't sell like crazy. Let me take that back. But I really think that, to me, Sony missed the mark because, like I said, I feel like with this system, this setup, they put their best foot forward, and when they came out with the flip screen, I was just like, me personally, I was disappointed. And that's me. Team flip up, hashtag team flip up all day. Why did Alicio give away a Sony? No, he sold me a Sony. He just gave me the price that he paid for it, which I really do appreciate it. It just basically came down that he was getting the new ZV-E10. He had pre-ordered it. He really liked it. And then he was like, you know what? This is going to replace my A6100. And he talked to me and he was like, I'm thinking about selling one of either these two cameras, the 64 or the 6100. And after the conversation, he basically said, then I'm going to keep the 64 and the 66 and now add the ZV-E10 to my arsenal. And I think the ZV-E10 is the camera that's really going to get him to start using his other Sony cameras. But with that being said, he gave me the opportunity to buy this camera, and it's just, it helps him pay for the camera that he just bought, and I get a good deal. Like I said, a deal that I couldn't refuse. And yeah, it's just a win-win. Plus I got a lens that I wasn't expecting, so I was able to get a good deal off the lens as well. And yeah, it's just like Christmas came early for me, but I got to strike while the iron's hot. I wasn't really expecting to make this purchase, but that's the whole thing. I worked it out with Alicio, so yeah, I'm just super excited. But yeah, he didn't give me a camera. I bought this camera off of him. It says, get the dummy battery for the A6100. I think he's talking to Sammy. It says, I need the ZV-E10. I don't have a camera right now. Yeah, Sammy, what I was also going to tell you, Sammy, is look on eBay, because I don't know their availability right now because it's also a newer camera, but look on eBay, look for any place where you could probably find a certified motherboard replacement for that camera. If you have problems with that, let me know. I can probably shoot you over a couple of like links. And if you decide to purchase one, like I said, when I go to Albany in people of video conference, then I'll be able to just replace that motherboard and you will have another camera, because you definitely can't find an A6100 for about $200 or $300, but you can find the motherboard for it for about that price. So it's a worth investment to put into it. And you know, while I'm up there in that time, I'll make sure to do that replacement for you, because all I need is, you know, some screwdrivers and some time. ZVE10 is on my Christmas list. It says that's because Sony can't make flip out screens like Canon. What, the ones that break? You know, there's a guy that's in Peter Gregg's live stream. He has a couple of channels, In the Blues and Geeky Nerdy Techie, and he was using the Panasonic GH series, and he had the flip out screen, and the camera fell off of the tripod with a gust of wind, and his brand new GH6 II, I believe, broke the LCD completely, just cables and all, done LCD, and he can't even find replacement parts for that. So because of that situation and the flip out screen, he went Sony. You know, it was like the last thing, because he was already wishy-washy now. He also got a flip out screen on his Sonys because that's what he prefers, but that was the last straw for his Panasonic, and I can't say anything. If the A7C is on the tripod the same way, just like that GH5, it's gonna suffer the same fate, because it's using the same, like I said, older technology. Hassan says, agreed, I prefer flip up screens than flip out. I do too, man. And even Sony has it's not a DSLR, because it's not, but it's a DSLR shaped, like mirrorless camera, and they had this flip out screen even off of that was like, it was on two swivels that were metal and then on a hinge as well. You could angle that screen in any way, shape, or form. Why they went away from that design, I don't know, but that one to me even seems better than what they're dealing with right now. But that's just me. A7 III screen is a terrible design. No, it's not. It's a photography design. I can't tell you how much, look, and this is another reason why I could tell you, look, this is my Fujifilm camera, and it's got that same type of photographer flip out screen where it can go flat, and it allows you to like look down, and look at how I'm holding my camera. If you see it, I'm looking straight down at the LCD screen, and I can click off my photographs like such, and I have it at my waist and I can see it. That's why I love this flip out screen, because I still have the ability to do that. So I can have this camera in such a small package like this and still have the flip out screen folded up where I can take shots or shoot video this way, and it doesn't make my camera twice as wide. It keeps it nice and narrow, nice and neat, so that I can get a steady shot. That's why I prefer this, and the fact that I have this, if I want to go overhead, I'm able to shoot overhead. If I want to go completely underslung, I could bring the screen completely flat down there, and if I want selfie mode, I have it as well. I repeat, I think Sony put their best foot forward here, and you don't hear, you don't see videos of people complaining that their Sony A6100, 66 or something, that their screen just broke or that it got loose by anything. I think this is the better design, and I'm gonna stick to that. It says makes more sense as it's centered. Yeah, that's another thing. Like, I can continue to give you more and more reasons. I do believe that, like, right now I'm looking at you through the lens, right? Because I'm looking directly at the lens. I notice it when my favorite creators on the platform look off to the right here so that they can see themselves. And instead of having a conversation with you, the viewer, they're having a conversation with themselves. It's like, hey, I'm going to give myself a pep talk. I notice it. Some people don't, but I guess it becomes more and more prevalent because you see it a lot in iPhone videos when people do that. The iPhone itself is notorious for that fact, because as you see the front facing of the cameras, like of the phone itself, the camera is a little pinhole over here to the right, but yet you're seeing your face in the center of the LCD. So for that reason is why you naturally tend to look at your own face. Is the same reason why we have these conversations about why do thumbnails in videos with your face in it work more than without, is because we're naturally drawn to the human eyes and to things of facial features. So when we feel like someone's looking at us, we tend to look back. And that's exactly what happens when you do the self-recording on an iPhone. You tend to look back even though it's your own face. And I notice those things. So if I were to be doing the same exact shot as I'm speaking to you, and I look up for a second because that's where the screen is, it's a lot more natural, as far as like looking off to the side and having a conversation like this, even if you happen to catch yourself to look up to see where you are in frame. But that's also the big difference. You have to know that you have to have the conversation with the lens instead of the LCD, because even if the LCD was on top or to the side, you have to be like disciplined enough to not look at the screen and know that it's only for framing. And once you know that you're within the box itself, that's all you really need. For example, my A6100 here, the one that froze for the stream earlier today, it has the flip up LCD, right? But I'm hanging the camera off of the hot shoe. The hot shoe sits right in the center of the screen. So even though I can see the LCD because I have it flipped up as it's hanging there, it's only there as a reference point so that I can see that I'm within the box, and that it's not going crazy, or that it's not back focusing. But after that, I don't need to see my face, and I try to engage the most that I can with the lens itself, because that's my connection point to you. I know that. And because it's something that I see in the videos that I consume, I always try to make it a priority in my own videos to not do that. Because, word of advice for anyone who's doing YouTube and creating content: if you see something in a video that makes you click off, if you see something that you don't like and you're like, oh, I did it, make a mental note, or actually make a note, like carry a little notepad next to your computer or whenever you're watching, and just make a note of what they did to make you click off, and make sure that you never apply that to your videos. That's probably one of the best ways to start learning how to make content on this platform. Okay, well, let's get back to this. Aaron says, where's my mouse? Okay, there we go. It says up makes more sense as it's centered, but it blocks the mic on top. Yeah, and that's what I said. Sony's got a pair of nice microphones that you can buy. They're pretty expensive, and I know that they wanted to sell more of those. So they were like, hey, people want the flip out screen, and we get to sell another microphone because they feel like they need it there. That's fine. I actually have my microphone offset to the right, so this space up here where it's not really used, I have a little adapter on my other Sony there that creates a cold shoe, and that's the location for my external microphone. Plug it in, and I've been happy ever since. I still get the best of both worlds. I get a microphone that's centered enough that it's picking up great audio, but I also have nothing blocking the LCD, so it allows me to use it in full function when I'm using it on the everyday day-to-day. So he says the PS5 controller is even better, really great. Yeah, but it was just the analogy that I really think the research and development team that Sony has as a corporation, you know, they've been making electronics my entire life personally, and that goes all the way back to the 80s. So going back from Walkmans and CD players and stuff like that, they've always been able to create devices that felt good in the hands when you use them. Like, you might think something about it, but like when you hold the PlayStation controller, it feels right. And I can honestly tell you, I got big hands, but when I hold a Sony camera, I have no complaints. I have no complaints on how this camera feels in my hand. And people say like, oh, it's got this small little grip and stuff. I'm like, to each his own. But I also go back to cameras like, what did I do with it? Oh, the Fuji. This has an even smaller grip, but you don't hear people complaining about Fuji cameras not having a big enough grip, because this is a better representation of the SLRs that we used from, you know, back in the day. And there is that nostalgic feeling, and I cannot lie, I like shooting the Fuji camera full manual with vintage lenses. It really gives me that feeling that I had like when I started photography. I'm either going to get the 6400 or the E10. Nothing really excites me about the E10, and I like the weather sealing and the eyepiece in the A6400. Exactly. Those are two very big important things about that, you know, camera. That's why when I spoke to Alicio, I was also contemplating the 6400. It's a more expensive camera, so I went with the more inexpensive option, and it was just better for my budget. And and plus I'm not going to take it, but I will agree with you that that's one of the things that really attract me to the 64 and the 6600 series cameras is the weather sealing, because I also am planning to, you know, get more out there in the future. So just in case you get caught in a little bit of a, you know, not so great weather situation, stuff that you can't control, I think that, you know, that's when it really comes into play. But for my situation right here within a controlled environment, I think the weather sealing is not necessary, and I just got too good of a deal. I couldn't pass up. Basically paid $500, which is what he paid for this camera. So to get an A6100 for a discounted price that is like new within the box, kind of like saying like one of those Amazon returns, and get it in the scarcity of cameras and the chip shortage, I'm very fortunate to have been able to grab this. It says, yeah, I had to get a cage for my 6600 to get a cold shoe mount away from the flip up screen. Obstructs the hot shoe in the mount. Yeah. But I've also told you, like, worst case scenario, you could still use it, because just as long as your face is, you know, like within the two corners of the LCD where you don't see the microphone, you know you're in shot, and you don't really necessarily need to see your face. So if you need to see your face, I understand. Me, I don't. I just need to make sure that my face is within the zone that it needs to be. And once it's there within that zone, then that's what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to just rely on the Sony autofocus, because I know it works that well. Do you think the Sony A7R is a good camera? The original one, I wouldn't recommend. The least one that I would recommend getting in the R series is the one that I have, which is the R2. Not only is it a bump up in the megapixels, but it is a completely different bump up in camera. It's a completely different monster. So the A7R1, the original one, is a 36 megapixel camera compared to the Alpha 7, which was a 24 megapixel, so that was the resolution bump. Besides that, there's really not much. There's no IBIS. It's still using the older batteries, the NPF 50s, but this one is actually using still the NPF W50s as well. But the processor on this camera is so much better that it holds the battery life that much better than the original 7R. Second, this was the first one that Sony introduced their backside illuminated sensor, which gives you access to the better color science and all of those features, including the eye autofocus. So the A7R Mark I does not have the eye autofocus. It has face autofocus, and the autofocus is still good, but not really like the leaps and bounds. So the autofocus that was made kind of very popular for photography in the A7R, the A7 III, was based off of the autofocus that was first introduced in the A7R2, because this was their flagship camera at the moment. The A9 did not exist, and this is the one that had everything in it: IBIS, 4K. It has all the log profiles, so it's got hybrid log gamma, S-log, everything that you want to do for photo and video. It's in this camera. So that's why I would tell you the least one that I would recommend in the R series, like entry level right now, would be the 2, because it's up to date enough to give you everything that you want to do. The A7R Mark I, not so much. There's more limitations there. It's not like it's a bad camera, but I would definitely recommend the Mark II and up. Peter Lindgren's A7S III flip out screen was loose. He made a video on it. Yep, he's one of the ones that I've seen making a video on it. And yes, I did see that. He ended up putting epoxy on his screws because they were just getting loose from the chassis itself. So I don't think that he'll have a problem with that from here on out. But it goes to show you that I've never had to epoxy anything on these flip up screens. That's just me. Question. Wow, question. Hey, Marga's in the house. How you doing, Marga? Welcome. I don't know if you're still here, because I'm kind of pulling a Diana Gladney on these comments. With the ZV-E10, would buying the Sony ECM B1M shotgun mic be beneficial versus the Rode Videomic Pro? Well, yes, because you're saying the Videomic Pro. You would have to definitely check, and if the ECM B1 is exactly the one that I'm talking about, that's the new one that gives you like all the different types of cardioid patterns, so it can pick up shotgun, it can pick up front and back, or then completely ambient. And then also it actually runs off of the power on the Sony camera, so it automatically turns on and off while in use. It's super convenient, and you know, if you're getting the ZV-E10, it works perfectly because it's gonna fit directly into that hot shoe, which is centered, and the flip out screen is not gonna like get in its way whatsoever. Like, that's what I was saying. Sony is not gonna like shoot themselves in the foot. They're like, you want a flip screen? We're gonna give you a flip screen, and now we're gonna sell you a microphone just because we can. You know, like, we're really gonna push it on top of it, because that microphone was kind of designed for the A7 III camera, if you think about it, where you can put it on the top of your hot shoe and it didn't matter because your screen wasn't gonna flip out that way anyway. It says, I have the battery for the A6100. Oh, this is Sam. It says, but I'm going to get a new one because of the dummy battery I have broke too. If you have a dummy battery, yes, but then also no, Sammy. If you connect your ZV-E10 via USB-C, USB Type-C, all you have to do is make sure that your camera is fully charged. So you can use both batteries, you know, just the one that you're gonna get with the camera and the one that you have from the 6100, and be pretty much set. You will no longer have the need for another dummy battery. And I agree, because if you had an electrical short that fried out your camera, that went through the dummy battery, meaning it was not protected, and I wouldn't risk a new camera using that dummy battery as well. So I would get rid of that altogether. But the ability to run power and to run video through the same cable via USB-C on the ZV-E10 is ideal for you, so that you have just one plug and play cable. I could honestly tell you, you're probably going to be looking more like 8 hours of running the power that way via USB-C. It could be more. I ran the A7R2 off of like external power, just USB, not even the USB-C, but it is separated because I'm using the HDMI out for video. But this way I don't have a dummy battery running, and it's just using the trickle power. And this camera stayed on for me a Saturday for 15 hours straight before that battery died. And this is the older technology, and the newer cameras are designed to better maximize the voltage because of better processors. So it goes to show you, it's only going to be better. You're probably not going to need a dummy battery at all, and all you're just going to have to do is buy the camera and make sure that you connect it via the USB-C. Is the first week of spring here. Winter is really bad this time. Can't wait for summer. Sorry, off topic comment. No problem, man. Have you tried the ZV-E10? You got me thinking I should get the A6100. Just got my E10 but haven't opened it yet. No, you're fine. And like, I think, to each his own. I'm just telling you my preference. I prefer the flip up screen for my workflow, but to each his own. Like I said, every person that has gotten that camera, Keith, like, just everyone has said like, oh, I absolutely love this camera. And like I said at the beginning, Marga, it's also because I have an A6100 already that it's just like, it's a perfect match, because it's also a backup. If anything were to happen to my A6100, I already feel better within my own YouTube channel here, that I know that I can continue creating content because I have a backup of the camera, which is one of the key parts of this channel. So, I also have this one, which is my main photography camera, which now really becomes my redundant camera. So I have my main, my backup, and now my redundant camera. And this setup makes me feel better, so it was just like a perfect match. And like I said, I got a great deal. But I was contemplating the ZV-E10 because it's also a great camera. There's the autofocus, and because at the end of the day, the image that you're gonna get from all of these cameras as of right now is pretty much exactly the same, because it is the same exact sensor. So the biggest difference in your image quality out of any of these cameras has to do with what I always say, glass before ass. The optics of the camera are way more important than the camera body itself. So I can, for a fact, even connect an A6000, and even though it has its limitations, because it has the same exact sensor, at the end of the day, putting the correct piece of glass in front of that sensor, I'll be able to kind of mimic the same exact image that I can get out of the A6100 as far as the look that you see going out to you on these displays. The biggest difference is that the A6100 does 4K and the A6000 does not. So that would be the biggest thing. But that really goes to play. The ZV-E10, Marga, for you, I actually think it's the fact that you don't need a capture card, because all of these are being run through cam links and through external video capture cards. That's probably why this camera here, let's see. No, we're still frozen there, so we're coming back. So that one completely completely froze. And I know it's not the camera, because the camera itself, I can see through the monitor, is still working fine. So it was my capture card, and It's funny, but that's the Camlink 4K, and I'm gonna look into it because when I first got it, I had someone ask me, and I think it was Art. I think it was Art Carasco, who was asking me about if I had any issues with that capture card that some people were having, and I was like, nope, haven't had it. Today I did the live stream with Doc Rock, and there was some issues there. He then has the same Camlink 4K, and he does this Zoom meeting class on Saturdays as well. And in the middle of that class, his Camlink 4K kind of just did a frozen and just gave out. So it could be something as far as the programs that we're using to utilize these video capture cards has like a new update that's causing an issue. But as you can see, the Amazon video capture card that we're using here is not giving that issue, and it is very particular to the Camlink 4Ks. So I'm going to be looking into that for this next week. But kind of taking that and kind of bringing it back, what I did want to talk about was the newest thing that is coming from the Sony camp, but is not really coming from the Sony camp. And I had also mentioned this, what I'm going to talk about right now, a while back on one of these live streams when we were talking about Aps-C versus full frame cameras, and that some people are saying like, oh, we're maxed out with Aps-C cameras and like we really can't go anywhere from here. And I had my, you know, like kind of rebuttal to that statement, basically saying we have yet to see a stacked Aps-C sensor from Sony, especially in their lineup. So I had referenced that the newest flagship from the Sony Aps-C line, you know, the successor to the A6100, I would say would most likely be maybe getting a megapixel resolution upgrade, or it might stay at 24 megapixels with a, oh man, I need some water, give me a second. So what I had mentioned was that I really think that what Sony needs to come out with, or what they could come out with, is these stacked sensors, because the stacked sensors is what allows the Sony Alpha 9 and the Sony Alpha 1 to reach 20 and 30 frames a second, is this stacked backside illuminated sensor, and the readout off of that sensor is so fast that they're able to achieve these extremely high frame rates when it comes to shooting sports photography. We have yet to see that in the Aps-C, but the thing that could really surprise people and take everyone aback that people aren't thinking about is how fast the readout can be from a Sony Aps-C stacked sensor. Physically, when the A6000 came out and the A7 Mark I came out, we're talking about way back in 2014, I believe, 2013, 2014. When those two cameras came out, the best that Sony could put as far as frames per second being shot in photography was 5 frames per second. And yet the Aps-C, they were able to do 11 frames per second. The reason why is because of the size of the sensor itself. You have an actual leaf shutter that's closing the light at that fraction of a second that you're choosing, whether it be 1/1000, 1/2000th of a second. You actually have a physical shutter that is closing over the sensor as it's reading light, and that's how photography works. So the fact that they could only reach 5 frames per second on the full frame had to do with the actual distance that you had to go from the top to the bottom with a leaf shutter, and the best that they can produce at that time was 5 frames a second. Yet because the Aps-C sensor physically is smaller, and the amount of leafs that are actually necessary to cover the APS-C sensor is only 3 little shutter leaves to cover the entire sensor, that they were able to cut that speed by more than half, and not just double it, but like double it +1 and go to 11 frames per second, because the shutter is able to move twice as fast as the time that it takes for a full frame shutter to shut once. And that was the biggest difference between APS-C and full frame. It has to do with frames per second in photography, and that big difference is the difference that you get why most people for sports majorly shoot, even in the DSLR days, in APS-C, because you would get much faster frame rates because of this mechanical feature that is a physical limitation. So now when you apply a stacked sensor to a full frame camera, you're able to achieve electronic shutter speeds that are much faster than a physical shutter's limitation. So physical shutter speed is like, they're pretty much capped at like 15 frames per second, and that's what we call mechanical. That is an actual shutter. Anything past that point on all of these cameras is strictly a digital shutter, because it is just capturing light and just like literally just pulsing a frame of imagery in that speed, because that's how fast that the mechanical shutter can't really even achieve. So for that reason, if you were to apply a stacked sensor technology onto an APS-C, not only could you like achieve 20 and 30 frames per second, but there's a possibility where we could actually double that. And when you're talking about an APS-C sensor being able to reach 60 frames a second in photography, then you're really gonna see 60 frames per second in 4K coming out of a Super 35 sensor like this that's stacked. And you're gonna be talking about things that are like the things that we complain about, the rolling shutter and the wobbling effect. All of that's going to be gone because of how fast the processor and the sensor are going to be able to read out this information. With that being said, I brought that entire conversation up because Sony themselves have not introduced this sensor, but Fuji did. And Fuji this week came out with an announcement of lenses and cameras, and one of their announcements was a stacked APS-C sensor. And if I am correct, Fuji gets their sensors from Sony, meaning Sony already has this in the works. Another bit of information that I got was that Sony also produced a Micro Four Thirds stacked sensor that is being implemented into these particular cinema cameras. So the technology that I was just hypothetically speaking about is already coming into fruition and starting to show its face within the market, and that really gets me excited, because the A6700 or the A6900, or maybe even a new series line in these Sony cameras, like an A7000 series, could be possible, and we could be seeing a whole new revolution of like crazy frame rates for video in these cameras, and I'm really excited for it. So hopefully I didn't lose all you like everyone here going super nerdy, but I really just gave you my my thoughts on that, because that is big news to me. I'm like, the technology already exists. Now they're just starting to sell these stacked sensors to other manufacturers, see how they implement it, and basically troubleshoot with them. Once those other people have kind of perfected, it's almost like the Apple way of thinking, like once you got it fixed and you got it working, come back to me and I'll see if I'll implement it on my phone. And that's how they keep having only the best features on their phones. And if Sony's thinking in that manner, then I think they're going to be doing very well, that when they come out with their stack sensor in their cameras, it's really going to blow things out of the water. You know, like when you hear things that Sony Alpha 1 camera can give you 16-bit raw video in 8K or something like that with an external recorder. That's possible, yet there doesn't exist not even one 16-bit recorder on the market, because they're setting the precedent of what's coming to the future. Is like, we already have 16-bit in our camera, yet nobody could even match up to our camera to even record it at that bit rate. That goes to show you where Sony is at as a company. And you know, a lot of people see Sony as only cameras because that's the space that they're in, but Sony does PlayStation and television and everything like that. It's such a massively huge corporation that started with the components, the little parts that are on the inside of all of these electronics. So they're playing a completely different game than what they're showing. It's like, you know, they're holding their hand close to the vest, and they've always knocked it out of the park. So the future of Sony and Aps-C has got me really, really excited. Oh, Mr. Riley's World is in the house. I have no idea how people live without the flip out screen. We're not gonna go back there. I love the C. It's much better than the A7 III, but the picture is actually quite different. It's more flattering, according to Peter. Oh, that's good to know. Best Buy has an outside pickup without the lens for next weekend, but I can get one shipped with the lens on the 9th before the weekend. Well, that just depends, Sammy. To tell you the truth, if you could just use it as an investment. If you already have the kit lens, right, from oh, let me see. Oh, thank you very much. Marga just bought me a couple of coffees. I appreciate you so much. I do. And being the fact that I just got this message, that lets me know that you're still here in chat, even though I'm still a little backed up. So thank you very much, and I'm glad you were able to hear that. But yeah, you did great. And like I said, the functionality and the ease of use of the ZV-E10, a one cable plug and play, you don't have to do any other settings. You know, it's a lot easier for that. But for my workflow, the A6100, but like I said, to get the image that you're seeing here out of the A6100, you're connecting a capture card, an external like power source, whether it's USB or a dummy battery. You're doing a whole lot more to get this image. With the ZV-E10, all you have to do is plug in one cable and make sure that your battery was charged. And you're gonna get video, audio, and power. It's pretty much a no-brainer. That's why, if even to me, like, I prefer the flip up screen, I will highly recommend the ZV-E10 because it's gonna cater to so many people's needs, even though it's not my own. It says B&H doesn't have it body, but they have one in stock with the Sigma. I can get another one and sell it. Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. If you end up getting the one with the kit lens and you already have a kit lens, you could end up selling the kit lens in brand new shape for maybe like $150 or maybe $200, which would just be off of the price that you paid for it. So you can get a little money back if you already have the kit lens and you have that in mind. Chris is in the house saying, hey Lewis, doing stuff with the fam tonight, but wanted to jump in and say congrats on the 40 weeks of live streaming. An amazing milestone. Thank you very much. Oh, why did errands come up? This is the message that we're trying to come up. I don't know why it's throwing them back there, but we'll figure that out later. It says, go for the best and easiest deal for you, Sammy. Don't sweat it. Get it with the lens so that you can sell it. You see, that's basically the same thing I said. Get it with the lens so that you can sell it later if you want. Well, yeah, the A7C looks better because of the color slightly improved, along with the better AI, but old crappy menu. The menus. You know what? I would have to say the menus are not the best with Sony, but for those of you who are interested, I am gonna go through the menus on this new camera. Those are all things that I wanted to do, but I'm gonna be honest, like, it's hard for me to reset this camera after I've already had it. Like, I have this camera here, this A6100, exactly how I want it. So for example, have you ever gotten a pair of jeans and then you break them in and then they become your favorite pair of jeans because they fit you perfectly? That's how I feel about the setup that I have on my A6100. It has been set up to my exact specifications, catered to my liking so well, every aspect of it, that it is like my favorite pair of jeans. And it's so broken in that when it's in my hand, it's perfect, that it was very difficult for me to just reset the camera and go back to stock and redo it. Now I got the second one so that I got it with the menu stock, and I have to, I have to concur a little bit that these menus are a little bit confusing when you have them all active the way that they come from out of the box. Because every time you switch a mode, you're gonna get one of these pictures like this on the back of the camera, which is one of the first things that I do, that I take off on this feature. So like whenever you go from movie mode to manual to to manual exposure, you're seeing like all the little like details, and you're seeing a picture of fireworks in the background. All of that is like fake menu, because it's just kind of like explaining what you're going to be getting into. But the menu should look more like this. And this, let's get back to it. Like that. And that's what the menu should be looking like. And it's within the menu itself that you actually get to turn those little, annoying features off. So you have displayed in the background your aperture, but as soon as you start adjusting the aperture, it comes into this other menu where it brings the aperture really big, and you're seeing it like consume the entire screen, and you lose all of the other functionality. I'm like, that makes no sense. So just a bunch of little like nuanced things that I would tell you, you're probably going to be turning more things off in the Sony menu than you are going to be turning them on. So once you got it down to the things that you're not going to be using are turned off, I can also tell you it highly, highly improves the battery life. There's certain things that these Sony cameras do, which is called pre-focusing. So it's kind of like using the lens to try to like hyper analyze the situation. And if you're shooting portraits or you're doing video, you don't need pre-focusing. You just need the focusing to be correct. And once you have the correct focusing, you're all set. It's like, I don't need you to be hunting while I have the camera in my hand and I'm talking to somebody. That's just wasting electricity or energy within the battery and the camera itself. So I turn a lot of those features off so that it's not hunting unless I'm asking it to focus. It's not doing a lot of things that it would just naturally try to do for you because it's thinking that you don't know how. I turn a lot of those things off, kind of make it more basic, and then start building up from there on the things that you use it for and what you don't use it for. And then this camera will, or any camera in general, that you're able to cater that way, whether it be the new Sony menus or the old Sony menus, they give you the ability to like cater or kind of custom build the camera to your liking, and then it becomes your favorite pair of jeans. The ones that as soon as it's in your hand, it just feels right, and you're like, I know that I can make everything that I want with this piece of tech. And whichever camera that could be, let it be it. But learn the camera, learn the menus, and I could honestly tell you, once I've configured my camera that way, I don't even go back into the menus. I don't go into the menus. That's why I almost like had to buy a whole other camera to just reset it and be like, oh, this is what it used to look like. Okay, let's start from scratch. But I'll be making those videos. I have the S3 with the new menu, and it ain't much better. Learn your menu and it will be easier to use. Look at that, you see? That's cool. That's really good to know. And I didn't even, I hadn't spoken to Peter about that. But that's good to know. Even though it's new and it might look prettier and stuff like that, like, you still have to learn it regardless. It's not the easiest thing, but it might look nicer and might just have a little bit better, integration with like touchscreen. It says, gotcha, Peter. Just a little learning coming from Canon for the last 6 years. Yeah, I know. I came from Canon as well. Like, I was shooting, and more than the cameras themselves were the lenses. I was talking about this earlier today with Doc Rock. The one lens that I could not get rid of was the 50mm f1.4, the Gold series, not the L. For the price and the quality that you get out of this, amazing. And I use it with my Metabones adapter, so that I use it on my Sony cameras. And believe it or not, with that adapter, I'm still able to use the eye autofocus on this camera right here with that lens. So that's why it's still in my arsenal. The other one that's like really great, but I ended up selling just so that I can upgrade to its counterpart in the Sony ecosystem, was my 24-105. I sold that lens and I was able to purchase this lens right here, which is the 24-70 Zeiss from Sony. And now Zeiss is a whole nother ball game for me, because I absolutely love Zeiss lenses, and my favorite lens is probably the 55 f1.8. Also, Peter, love your channel. Found it about a year ago, says John. There we go. Hassan says, do you think it's safe to use a dummy battery with Sony APS-C cameras? I use it with mine, but fully sure if they're damaged cameras in any way. Well, no, Sammy's case that we were talking about earlier, son, is a little particular, because he was part of the hurricane that was just passing in New York and New Jersey. So he actually had a power surge. In all sincerity, if you're dealing with a power surge and you're not on an APS-C, a battery backup system, a surge protector, if you're not on some system like that to protect you from an electrical surge, you're kind of at risk with any electrical device, especially if it's still plugged in. It could take damage, and it's something that happened to me as well, and it wasn't even a dummy battery. So my experience, and you could actually go back to it on my channel, there's a video, I think it's about a minute long, of me doing a motherboard replacement on the Sony A6000 body. Now, Sammy, you can take a look at that as well, because a similar process is what I would need to do for the A6100. But I needed to replace the motherboard because the motherboard fried on that camera, and my situation was that I've always had I still have an external battery charger for all of the Sony cameras, or all of my NPF W50 batteries. So I have this little charger set off over there. It's a dual charger, and I'm constantly charging 2 of my batteries at a time. I had at that time the extra battery grip on my A6000. So I would run 2 batteries off of that battery cartridge, and I didn't want to wait to charge like each battery individually, because they had both died from a photography gig that I did. So when I wanted to charge them up for the next day, I put one in the single charger that I had at that time, and I said, you know what, the Sony cameras, they're designed to charge the battery via USB. So I disconnected the battery grip, put the second battery into the camera, and plugged it in via USB. Saw the little yellow light like it was charging the battery, and I left both of my batteries, one in the charger, one in the camera, and I went to sleep. The next morning, after a stormy night, apparently we got a storm surge, same thing, a power surge, and my camera was fried. It was connected via USB directly into a surge protector, and no, it wasn't on a surge protector. That was the problem. but because I connected it via USB directly to the wall socket, it was like my iPhone plug. It was able to transmit the electricity. It wasn't protected on the surge protector, and it fried my camera. And it fried my A6000, which was really the catalyst of why I started shooting Sony, because at that moment I had the A6000 and I was using it and I was having a lot of fun, but I still had my Canon cameras. They were my backups, right? So I was like, okay, I'm having a lot of fun. I have this metal bone adapter, so now all of my Canon glass I'm using with my Sony cameras, and I was just having a blast with this little, or the A6000, the small little body, and the quality of images that I was able to get off of it. I was really impressed, and the functionality of the camera I was just really blown away with everything that you got. And that's talking about the A6000 2013 2014 model. So when I got my hands on that and I started using it, and this experience happened where the camera, I woke up the next day and I didn't have my A6000 camera anymore. I was like, okay, that sucks, but let me go back to my backup cameras, right? And when I went back to my Canon cameras, I quickly realized that both of them combined could not do the things that I was already doing with my A6000 camera. And I was like, oh man, I was doing that and now I can't, because these cameras have other types of crippling, I'm not gonna leave that one alone, but a different type of, you know, like limitations that did not allow me to get the most out of it. And now I felt like I was being like downgraded. And right away I was like, oh man, I can't shoot Canon anymore, because it's gonna put like a limitation on the things that I want to do. And right away I went back onto the used market and started looking for an A6000 replacement. I was really lucky even back then that the prices were not so crazy as they were now, and I was able to find a replacement A6000 for I think $200. I had to drive pretty ways away, close to like Boynton Beach, which is almost like a 2-hour drive, but I was able to get it for $200. And once I was able to get it for $200, that's when right away I started selling my Canon cameras. I kept the glass because I was using it with the Sonys, but I did sell my Canon cameras to recoup the loss of what I just paid for this new camera, and what I was gonna do with my new cameras, because I already knew that I had to transition to Sony. And I was just like, I'm not gonna shoot myself in the leg, and I'm not gonna limit myself or my creativity because of loyalty to a camera brand. And that was it in a nutshell. And then slowly but surely I started replacing every piece of kit in my bag from Canon to Sony, and the only one that survived is this guy right here. Okay, give me 1 second. Okay, selling the ZV-1 and the A7 III if anyone knows someone looking. Okay, Randall's saying I use them on my Sony A6100, the Nikon Z6 II, and the Z5. I'm not sure exactly what he's saying. Oh, the dummy batteries. I think that's what Randall's talking about. By the way, how are you doing, Randall? Didn't get to say hi to you. Say no problems. I live near New York City. I can get so many good deals. Those cameras will sell fast. Yeah, sometimes I'm glad that I don't live that close to B&H. Let's just say I'm glad that I don't live that close to B&H, right? Can I use the same non-Sony dummy battery on my ZV-E10? It depends, Marga. If it's the same one from the 6000 or the 6100, then yes, it's the same exact battery and you should be able to use the same exact dummy battery. And yeah, if I'm correct, I don't think Sony makes an official dummy battery because they provide the USB charging. So any USB or dummy battery, that's what I meant to say, dummy battery, not USB. So let me correct myself. They provide USB charging, and I believe that there is no officially branded Sony dummy battery for that. I could be mistaken, but I believe that's exactly what's going on. Okay, so Hassan says, love the background music, bro. Care to share the playlist? It's okay if you say no. No, absolutely not. Now, this is the whole thing. Just I learned this last week. I will share the playlist. I have no problem with it. If the song has lyrics, like I was told, some of the lyrics in some of these songs are a little salty. So there's some, I guess, profane language. I didn't know about it because when I hear a song, I'm listening to the music and I remove the audio from it. Or the vocals from the audio track. And I'm over here reading comments and then talking to this camera lens. Let's roll it back. So what I'm actually doing is actually you know what? Let me do something here. Hold it right there because this camera is a lot easier to talk to. And I didn't think of this. Haha. Boom. There we go. The light bulb finally turned on. I literally, like I said, this camera was still working. All I did was switch the HDMI cables to the video capture card that's actually working. And now we have this angle. Okay, so we're good to go. Okay, let me see exactly what I was talking about. Oh, about the playlist. Yeah, so when it comes to my music, I'll be glad to share the playlist. Shoot me a DM through any of the social media networks, and that way I'll be able to send you the link. I personally download the tracks and I have them being run off of my audio mixer here, so it's not like that they're being run directly from the website, which is Epidemic Sounds. For those of you who want to know, I use Epidemic for all of my music throughout my channel and all of my social medias. And if it has lyrics, just know that I did not hear them, so I did not curate the lyrics, but I'll be happy to share that playlist with anyone who wants it. Says, okay, it's terrible for my usage. I would agree. Each person has a different case scenario. It says, thanks, Randall. It makes me feel more comfortable now. Yeah, and if you're worried about the dummy batteries, like right now, this is on a dummy battery. It's not a Sony branded one because, like I said, I don't think that they do make one. There's not a problem. But if I did have a thunderstorm, it would be best that through the dummy battery, you just turn off your camera. Because turning off your camera could save you, especially if you're not using it like that. You're not charging it via USB, because USB, even though it's charging the camera, is still kind of like an open door. Like I said, when I had mine directly plugged into the wall and I got a power surge, it fried my camera. If it were to have been a dummy battery, maybe not so necessarily. If it was off, maybe Sammy's was actually on. You know, even if it was in standby, if it's on in standby, it still has that power surge, giving it more likely the ability to, you know, take damage in a storm surge or a power surge. I don't really think that, you know, it's very common, but also Sammy was dealing with a hurricane. Says, thanks, Aaron. You got him fired up about the screen design. Oh, so this is me ranting about this. Okay, let's get through this. Okay, Peter Gregg has them too. I don't even use the screen on the camera. That's good to know, and that's good technique. Always look at the lens is the best thing. Aaron is turning into Scott, who starts trouble. Nah, not even. That's why Casey Neistat wears sunglasses, because he's always looking at the screen. I wouldn't doubt it. I would not even doubt it. I can't help watching the screen too, but when I do, I stop everything that I'm doing and admire looking at a wonderful, good-looking guy. Oh, Angelique. welcome. Look at this. Angelique is someone that met through Clubhouse. So glad to have you here. So I assume smaller cameras aren't as powerful. Then learned I was very wrong. Absolutely. And that's the whole thing. Most people don't even know that most film movies, right? And I don't mean the films that we see now from Marvel. I mean film movies were shot in what's called Super 35, which is, let me see, do I have it here? I don't know where I put it right now, but I have like just the little cartridge of film. So a 35 millimeter film, right? It's kind of wider and shorter on the top. Imagine if you were to just take that sideways and then reframe it. The width is now actually like the height, so to speak, and you're actually getting more images out of the same amount of film. So it's a smaller amount, and the original film cameras literally used the equivalent of an Aps-C size sensor on the cameras themselves because of the way that they adjusted the film stock within the camera. Instead of running it sideways, which gave you a better image per shot, but it would actually use a lot more film to conserve on film, especially when you're shooting 24 frames for every second comparative to a still photography shot, is why they converted the film like vertically instead of horizontally, allowing them to shoot more frames within the same amount of footage. So the original movies that were shot on film were actually shot in what we call today APS-C or Super 35. Alicia's in the house saying we are live. But Angelique, also a pleasure to have you here. Welcome to the Camera Junkie live stream. And thank you for like saying hi. It's been a long time. Okay, it says I do need to see. I use the tablet and a viewfinder for while now I'm using the laptop with an app. Well, yeah, but like I said, to see, like even if you're seeing yourself on a separate monitor here, like I could see myself there, it's literally just to make sure that we're in the shot. You know, all the cameras nowadays, like if you bought a camera within the last 5 years, it's gonna have more than adequate autofocus for like things like this. And if you are having some pulsing where the camera's having like constant issues about it struggling to autofocus, you can just switch these cameras to manual and take that feature away, so that you just set the focal plane and you just sit here and have a conversation while being in focus, knowing that if you fall out of it, you'll fall out of focus, but also knowing that once you come back in, you're right where you need to be and that you don't need to touch anything. So that's a word of advice. So any of these cameras you could really do a lot with. So as long as you just know that whether you rely on the autofocus or not, that you're just mostly within the frame, the rest is just, you know, what value are you providing. It says still here. You hooked me. Oh, thank you. Mario's also in the house. How are you doing, Mario? It's been a while. Is pulling a Diana gladly on these comments. You know it, man. I am so backed up. I'm straight Diana mode. Says, I think Rode Videomic NTG will be a better option than the Rode Videomic Pro. It could be. It could be. I've heard a lot of good things about the Videomic NTG, but it also depends on your space. One thing that I learned personally that I was trying to get away with, and I have it around here as well, was I have a shotgun microphone and I was trying to use it for this setup. At the same time, I'm trying to remove background noise of like the refrigerator and things like that. Comes to be that it's not designed to actually remove those noises. You know, like it could have a hypercardioid pattern, but it's also designed to pick up ambient noises so that it can kind of tell the difference. But in this small untreated space, it picks up everything. So with that, the more that I was trying to do to use that microphone, I quickly realized that that wasn't the microphone for me. And now some people don't like the microphone in shots. I don't have an issue with it. And this microphone right here just it won my heart. I love the way that this microphone looks, and I'm really liking the way that it sounds as well. I've learned a lot in the audio space with it, but it's like, to me, the best of both worlds. It's got this steampunk vintage look to it. I love the, you know, shock mount on it, and I don't mind it being in the shot. I kind of prefer it. A lot of people, Marga, talking about that, I believe I was on Sammy's live stream and you had asked me which microphone this was. Now that I have you here, I'm going to give you the opportunity, or take the opportunity to let you know, I'm using the Samson MTR 101 studio condenser microphone, and I believe it goes for like $150, $160. I was fortunate enough to get a really good deal on this one. I found it on the used market. I bought it for 20 bucks. Like, you can't beat that, right? So thank you, Facebook Marketplace. It sounds great. The reason why I decided to buy it was totally on its looks, you know, just being up front. Like, I saw the microphone, I was like, the guy's asking 25 bucks. I offered 20. He was like, okay. I was like, even if it's crap, right? Even if it's a crap microphone, it was $20 and it looks great. I was just fortunate enough that it's actually a really high quality microphone. So if you are interested, I could send you a link for it. It's I love this microphone. Is the quality of the ZV-E10 as good as USB-C with a capture card? Yes. Marga, you could also check Alicio Way's YouTube channel. We did like an impromptu unboxing live stream there. I hopped on and we were just, you know, conversing and doing everything, but you could actually see the image. And then Keith Pelzer also jumped on the screen with his ZV-E10 connected directly via USB, so it'll give you a very good example of what you should expect out of that camera. Keith was actually like, he went up one. He was on his A7C with the Sigma, and then he was using the ZV-E10 like right underneath it, like so, with the kit lens. Oh no, he wasn't using the kit lens, but something fairly similar to it. It wasn't like a super fast Sigma. He was just using his 18 to 135, and it's a variable aperture lens, and he was just showing you the quality that you get out of it. Alicio was using the Sigma 16mm, which I believe is the lens that you have as well, so that you can get the a view of what the ZV-E10 looks like straight from USB-C. Alicio did nothing. He literally plugged it into his computer, opened up like it was QuickTime, and then just did a simple recording and selected that camera as like his webcam, and it picked it up, and he was highly pleased with the image that he got out of it. The same with Keith. Keith was one of the ones who actually said that it's like his favorite camera already, and he was just playing with it for a couple of days. So go take a look at that if you want to see the exact quality that you should expect out of those cameras. Sammy says it does, Marga, the new gear every week. Oh, he says, is it me or does Marga get new gear every week? I don't think so, but Marga's been doing good. She said good vibes. There's a great video that shows the ZV-E10 USB-C versus the capture card. Use the HDMI output for the capture card USB-C for keeping it charged. Actually, Randall, no, like what you see on this live stream is that you actually see that he's plugging it in directly via USB-C. The USB-C is charging the camera like trickle charge while it's being plugged in, and it's doing video and audio out. So you could use the microphone that's built into it, that it's got like that, like fully arranged. It's got like a 3 capsule like microphone on top, the same that you find on the ZV-1, but it also has a microphone jack. So understand that if you have a microphone, or like this is the microphone that I have just right off the bat. I have the Rode Video Micro. So the little Video Micro, the one that you see, like, you know, no batteries, just simple cable, plug and play, like so. You take this and you're able to throw this type of microphone or any microphone that you can plug in via cable, even if it's a lavalier microphone, plug it into the ZV-E10 through the microphone, and then just plug in the USB to your computer, and you're all set. You're gonna get a much higher quality audio that you're getting from the built-in microphones, which are not the worst, and you can hear that on that same live stream with Alicio. Oh, sorry. Because Keith was using that microphone on the camera through the USB while it was being charged. So that's why I said when it comes to ease of use, I had mentioned it in a prior live stream. I'm like, this camera is really gonna make it the easiest to just plug and play and get really high quality image, audio, and that's why Sony's gonna knock it out of the park with this little camera, and why everybody's gonna end up buying one. And so far it seems like I was right, because everyone seems to have bought one and it's outperforming what people were expecting to do. Rich is saying hi to Marga. Sammy Superstar, video name please. He's talking, I guess, about the ZV-E10 versus USB capture card. Saying hi to Rich. Unplug the Camlink 4K and it will fix it. Well, I could, but I just left it out. Right now, I'm just not going to switch scenes, and I'm just going to stay on this capture card for the rest. Saying LOL. Any plans of getting an A10 Mini Pro for live streaming? No. I'm trying to go into the 4K side, and the A10 Mini limits you to 1080. So that's why I wouldn't use the A10 for that reason. That's pretty much it. It made by live streaming pros. Okay. The Camlink 4K is horrible, and I just got rid of it for the AverMedia 4K capture kit card. Okay, I'm gonna have to take a look at that. I'm gonna put a star on that comment. Okay, come on. I starred that comment and it starred a different comment. So I'm like, is it my mouse or is it the program? We'll get through this. Okay. When I start dating Max, stop me. Okay, for those of you who don't know, I'm just gonna have to break this down. I'm laughing so hard because that's a really funny joke. Sammy Superstar here had a series where he was making a show, like pretty entertaining, where he's called My Mac Romance, and he was just role playing as if like his computers were like romantic partners. It was a really funny series that he was working on. It was a lot of fun. So that's what Marga is referencing to, saying when I start dating Max, stop me, at Sammy Superstar. I love it. Says Lewis likes to stream in 4K and the ATEM can only do 1080p. Boy, you know me, man. You nailed it right there. Chris got it right on it. It says saw that one and another from another creator. Okay. So if you're still looking for more videos, check out the Alicio Way one, because it's just giving you two perspectives. Alicio's using it with a like updated lens, and Keith was using it with more of a generic kind of like a kit lens. USB-C is used in cameras, webcam utility, but the video image looks better with the HDMI out, in my opinion. That is correct, but we're talking about ease of use. And for Marga, being like mobile, wants to take her camera and utilize it in the best way, having one cable to plug in your camera. Like, think of this, right? If you want to do a mobile live streaming, like that's even something that would kind of even benefit me, because I'm already planning to be at People of Video in October, meaning that one of my Saturday live streams, I'm going to be over there, which is going to be probably a little bit of a time shift, but it's not something that I'm planning to miss. So I'm going to need to have a mobile live streaming setup And that would be ideal for me for that situation. Why? Because instead of bringing microphones or interfaces and cameras and capture cards and this and that and blah 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 blah, I can literally take my MacBook Pro, one computer, which is already going to be with me. So this is my mobile unit. I'm going to have that with me. And then I open it up, open up Ecamm, connect my one camera because I'm mobile, so I'm not going to have multiple camera angles. I'll just plug in one cable and I don't even have to bring a microphone. Like Keith was showing, the microphone that's built into it can be used, and it's not like there's a sync issue with the video and the audio. So with that being said, you can sync and just use that camera, put it on a small tripod and do a live stream with the audio. It's not going to be the best, but we're also dealing with a mobile setup, and you're not even required to have a different microphone. Excuse me. I had to sneeze there. So, don't need another microphone, don't need anything else, and basically a camera that just like kind of fits in your pocket and is going to give you the ability to do all of that, and it's going to be easy. That would kind of even be ideal for me. Am I gonna do it? No, because that's not really the camera that fits for me. But I also know that, in that time, I might just borrow Doc Rock's camera and use his to test it out and use that if it's easier, I'll just snatch it off of him for the day and I'll be like, hey, I'm gonna use this for 2 hours and I'll give it back to you as soon as I'm done. You never know. So creators helping creators, What's his is I could borrow. That's all I can say. What's his is his, but I could borrow it for a couple of hours. Kim Booch is in the house. What's up? How are you doing, Kim? Welcome. Oh, Caleb McCool is in the house. What's up, Caleb? Hi, everyone. Good late evening to everyone. Just saw this live stream. Well, thank you for stopping by, man. I really appreciate you stopping by. Just so you know, and thank you for saying hi. Every Saturday, 10:55 p.m., we have the Camera Junkie live stream. Welcome to the crew. Okay, saying Chris, Peter Gregg has an external GPU box with 3 PCI Express slots with a Blackmagic Deck Link 4K 4 HDMI that's connected to his M1 Mini running 4 cameras. Wow. Just saying that was a heck of a mouthful, but to know that that's exactly what Peter's dealing with over there really is amazing. And if those of you who don't know, Peter Gregg holds a weekly live stream every Friday night in the Christmas room. It's under his channel, Peter Gregg Live. And we always have a fun time. A bunch of us are always in there, just relaxing, enjoying the awesome content that Peter provides, and we always have a lot of fun. Randall says, I use 5 cameras with the 2018 Mac Mini and the 5 Camlink 4K capture cards, 2 extra hubs to use their own power. Well, you're definitely going to need those extra hubs to have all those cameras connected. But yeah, Randall also has upgraded his setup, and he's got something pretty interesting going on. Multiple camera angles. Nikon has been using Sony sensors for a long time. Yes, for a long time. Like the first Nikon cameras that I got in my new rekindling of my camera passion, I still say to today, the ergonomics on the Nikon 90D, absolutely love it. That one was one that they nailed, and you just hold it in your hand and it's just like, oh, that feels right. So that was a 12 megapixel sensor, took great stills, loved that camera. Autofocus, I think it might have had like 9 autofocus points. That's it. It's not nothing out of this world, but when you come from the background like I did, when film focus and recompose, that's so vital that you can use that with any camera. So even though it had 9, which is a lot, focus points, I majorly just use the center one, focus and recompose, focus on what you want and recompose a shot, click it, and it's simple, but it's just flawless. It still works till today. Focus, recompose. Okay, so Margaret's sending some hearts. Make your BMAC link clickable, just saying. I don't know, could you make that clickable? Margaret, let me know, because that's very interesting. I didn't even know that was a possibility, if that could be clickable. Maybe if I put it in the comments or like in the description. I don't know if it becomes a hyperlink there. I think it could be even there already. But I didn't know if you can do that on screen. Because now I do have, like, I could turn this off, right? To have that like that. And there is a, like, an overlay here. Like this small one. You see that it's very small? Let me know. That's the original one. I just have that there. And then I block it with this one. See? That's, you know, masking. So it's still there so that it can do like the little link and show the little icon on screen. But it doesn't show, but I don't think that that's clickable, but I'm gonna find out now. I'm gonna go into the other ones. I don't think that that little link is clicking, but that's very interesting, and it just got my mind going. It literally just got my mind going to, like, is that even possible? And if it is, that would be really cool. If you can make like a hyperlink on the button itself, I'll be working on that. It says, do you still have the A6100? Says me, yes, I got the A5100. And you see that one's still a pretty decent camera, but the autofocus is going to be so much better on the ZV-E10 that you're going to be like, oh my god. It's really going to be like, oh my god, like this does everything for me. It's a lot of technology, and technology increases exponentially. You know, like when it comes to computer technology, it's almost like outdated by every 90 days. So it really goes to show you how fast the technology moves. But it froze twice on the stream, so either it's breaking on me or just the capture card. Sammy, nothing has ever made me think I have gas. If that's what you're telling me. I have a lot of microphones though. That would be a cool thing. Like, what would be your favorite microphone? You probably used a lot. It says, LOL, we all have gas. Even me. We all kind of do. Like, we all like the gear. Like, I think Tom Buck was the one who, Tom Buck was the one who asked me on the podcast, if I had an unlimited budget, what camera would I buy? And I said it and I'll repeat it. Like, I can sit here and say, like, I want some crazy cinematic camera, or like some epic red and things like that. Like, none of that stuff works with my workflow. Like, I'm a photographer and videographer, not videographer and hobby photographer. So camera still has to be a practical photography camera for me, and my ideal camera in my case is the Sony Alpha 1. And yes, and I will say it again, I'm so happy that there's no flip screen on their flagship camera. It's a photography camera, and it does more than everything that I could ever want. 50 megapixels, 30 frames per second, 8K video, 16-bit recording, all the profiles, all the bells and whistles, and it's still a photography camera. So it's still a one-person unit. You know, like, I could want the best cinematic camera, but also know that you need a team that goes with that camera so that it can perform and do what it needs to do. I don't have that team. So personally, my dream camera would be the Sony Alpha 1. I get that camera, I probably won't need another camera for the next 8 to 10 years, because I don't see technology really expanding to a point where that's going to be outdated within 4 or 5. Alright, brothers. to tell you, like, I could honestly make good content, whether it's photos or video, with a camera that's 8 years old right now. You give me an A6000 and I can make some magic, because that's why I said, like, I don't see that the Alpha 1 could lose that. And I know, because it's so advanced to where we are right now, that it's kind of future proofing me for at least the next 8 to 10 years. Easy. Like, easy. But nothing like you, Mr. Superstar, says Marga. You are the gas influencer. I'm not a professional, but I love listening and learning on how it all the tech works. I find it interesting. Me too. And I come from like the computer background, so once the cameras hooked me on the technology side and knowing how these sensors work, and that's why I said, like, I'm over here getting information about like the actual sensors that are hitting the market that Sony isn't even like announcing, even though they're the ones making it, because they're just providing it for other companies and they're allowing them to work out all the little like quirks. And once they understand their own technology to the best is when you'll see Sony implement it in their own equipment.
Come on, do it.
Aaron. That goes back to the original. This great stream, but it's time for Arnold. Please. Absolutely.
Come on, do it.
Oh, that brings it back. Agreed. Lewis is rocking it. Thank you very much, guys. I appreciate all of you guys hanging out here, man. Wow, it's already 1:30, so we're at 2.5 hours and we're just rocking. That really goes to show you caffeine, man. I had a nice cup of coffee, you know, right before the stream. It makes all the difference. And now we're done. Okay. Everyday text saying hi. He says just stopping in. Charles is in the house saying hello, Lewis. Just got home after Universal's HHN. I'm not sure what that abbreviation stands for, but it'll probably hit me later. But you were at Universal Studios, so that's good stuff. She's saying hi to Charles. What do you think about the Sony A7 II with kit lens for $700? My honest opinion, I also would not recommend the A7 II. That falls into the same category as the A7R1 and the Mark I. It just doesn't have the auto function capabilities. And for video, it's also lagging. So that's why I wouldn't recommend it. You know, when the 2 series came out, that's when this also camera came out, and they really made a substantial differentiation between both of those models, because not only of the price but of the technology that was built into it. This camera, that's kind of like the line in the sand. The A7 II was the last one that was kind of like of the past technology, and they came out with that backside illuminated sensor on this camera, and that little piece of tech, that difference, is what allows this camera to be part of the newer generation of the cameras, and the processor within it allows it to carry over those working actual functions of the autofocus that make the camera better. Now, if you just want a camera for still photography shooting, and you're gonna be using vintage lenses where it's all manual and you really don't need those extra autofocus functionalities out of the camera, yeah, then that's a great price for a full frame camera if that's what you're going to be looking into, because $700 for a full frame digital mirrorless camera that gives you the ability to use a myriad of lenses and doesn't have the best autofocus. Yeah, but that's that use case scenario. But then in that use case scenario, I would also say, if you see it being sold for $700, offer $500. You know, try to get it for a much better price. And then I would say a $500 A7 II, and you're using it for that type of photography, I highly recommend it. You'll be very happy if that's what you're looking to get out of it. But if you're looking to get an A7 II in hopes that it's going to work like an A7 III or something similar, then let me just be the first one to let you know, you will be highly disappointed, because it is a dramatic change when it comes to the autofocus features from the A7 II to the A7 III. Just night and day. That happened to me, but with dummy battery. Okay, I still was talking about it. I've seen small rig battery adapter for Sony cameras for the large Sony batteries. What are your thoughts on those? Small rig is a pretty reputable company. I wouldn't see that being an issue. But now, if you do want to rest assured, you know, there are like particular dummy battery cables that, even though the brick charger that's actually producing the charge could be whichever brand, there's particular dummy battery connectors that have like surge protectors built in. So the part that actually goes into the camera, right, like that hollow, the hollow part of the dummy battery, and then you have the cable out where you would connect that to the adapter, right, to the AC adapter to give it the juice. Right at the end, you'll see kind of like another little transformer built into the cable. That's a surge protector, like built in, or a voltage protector is the actual term, is the actual piece of tech that's in there. So what is designed for is designed for V mount batteries, and is designed to take whichever current flow that could be coming in and bringing it down to the steady and correct amount of voltage for the camera, so that a 19 volt battery being connected to it will not like fry your camera. So it kind of has that voltage or that limiter built into the cable itself. So if you have any like doubts of like frying your camera, I would suggest you get one of those types of cables and then connecting it to your adapter that way, so that you're protected as far as a voltage limiter, which is kind of like an added surge protector to your camera, saying like if electricity were to run there at even a higher voltage, it will limit it down to make sure that it doesn't cause damage. So that's an option that we have. So Lewis actually experienced the same thing as me. Yes, except like I said, I didn't experience it through the dummy battery. I experienced it through the USB. So, you know, it is a little bit of fault. It's kind of tough. Like I say, case in point, don't leave it plugged in. You know, if you can and you're about that, it would be ideal that as soon as I finish the stream and I turn off my camera, I would unplug the dummy battery. I'll be the first one to tell you, I don't do that. Now, it is connected to a surge protector, and that's on an Aps-C battery backup, but I also have my modem in the back over there. So like if I were to have a power surge, I would lose internet, even though my computers would stay on temporarily. But wishy-washy, I might end up getting another one from over there, but $150 for a modem, maybe not right now. Glad you made it safely through the hurricane. My camera didn't though, says Sammy. I need to buy another one now. I'm safe, but my gear. Okay. Agreed. Glad to hear you're safe, Sammy. I removed that question. Sorry, Lewis. You're so nice to answer the dummy battery question. Oh, well, you see, I'm using Ecamm. So once they come over here, even if they're removed from the actual stream, I still get them. So, but no worries. I'm glad, like, that's what I'm here for. I'm having so much fun that we're going on 3 hours and I'm just talking cameras. I'm just trying to get to the bottom. There's still 11 people here. Like, that's amazing. And I appreciate every single one of you guys. Like, this is what I love to do, so I'm happy to do it, and I want you guys to understand that, you know, like you guys are the reason why we're doing this. Like, you're the Camera Junkie crew, and I'm always so happy for you spending your time here with me, and I'm always happy to help. He's saying, Hassan, yep, it is good music. Is he switching cameras? Yes, I was switching capture cards, basically, or HDMI cables. It says, but you do have a nice profile. Mr. MrCameraJunkie, thank you. Yeah, that was for me. I know that was me talking to this camera while that one was on. I know that's what that was about, so thank you. Do Epidemic have high quality sound effects too? That's a great question, and yes they do. They have a full sound library, and one of the features that I really like about Epidemic Sound is that you can search for the sound effects or for the songs, and when you search for them there's also like it's kind of just a picture of a Venn diagram where it's just two circles like coming up to each other, basically saying things that match within the Venn diagram, right? Similar types of music. So if you find a song that you like and then the next one that gets played to you is something that you totally don't like, you could just click those two little like circles and know that the song that you like, you're not gonna get a new playlist with a lot of similar sounding or type genre type songs. Says the camera was on too. Okay, so you see that's probably exactly why it shorted out. So from what we've just were able to figure out, Sammy, like it looks like the cameras that took damage were on the chargers when they took damage and they were on and kind of like available. So lesson to be learned, if you really want to make sure that you don't fry your cameras, and this goes for everyone here, make sure that you just unplug them, turn them off and unplug them, and you'll be good. You shouldn't have to deal with it. And if you're in a storm, like if you see a storm outside, make sure that you unplug it. That's it. I think I lost like a gaming console. I think it was a PlayStation back in the day, that it just got a power surge and it was just like and the power was just turning on and off, and then just fried out the PlayStation. It says yes, music. I wish I had more sound effects. Mr. Riley World has a video where he gets lots of sound effects. I've been pretty happy with the sound effects. Well, they could use more. I do agree. But when it comes to me with sound effects, that's just a little BTS information. I actually have fun. I make my own sound effects a lot. There's videos on my channel where I'm talking about Velcro. I love these Velcro tie wraps here, the one wraps. I just buy like this huge mega pack for like $5 at Walmart. So whenever I need a Velcro strap, I'm just ready to go. This is a brand new package, and I know I have more running around there. These are my go-tos. See? Let's see. Small little Velcro wraps like such. And I was talking about it, so I made sure that I went Foley. And I was like getting all those extra sound effects. That's the fun that I have when it comes to creating content like this. I love YouTube because it allows you to put all of the aspects of creating like video and like movie making, but in small little snippets. I'm absolutely hooked on this stuff, man. I just read that the Stream Deck has included sound effects. Is that right? That is right. But there is a particular thing to the sound effects. So let me see if I get this correct. You can download the sound effects from the Elgato to the Stream Deck, but they only work from the Stream Deck. So it's not like it's a downloadable MP3 file that you can use on other programs, so to speak, so that you can put them to a soundboard or anything like that. Because of that limitation, we were just talking about this today in class. That's the Drop Squad class with Doc Rock. It's just a weekly Zoom meeting where we're constantly helping each other out. We were talking about this, and I think it was Paul that mentioned that he downloaded the sound effects to the Stream Deck, but then because he couldn't like play them unless they're like specific to the Stream Deck, he just started using like audio hijack to record them, and then he just played them like natively, and then like chopped up the recording as little MP3 so that he can have all of the sound effects from that library and MP3 form that allows him to use them in other places, not just the Stream Deck. So they do have it, but I know that there's a limitation when it comes to the Stream Deck itself. I wonder if the Stream Deck app has access to those too. Actually, you know what? I know it does. Like, we were just talking about it. To be honest with everyone, I'm not that keen on the demo mode, you know, that where I can show you exactly how it is. Let me see, hold on. Let me see if I can find the demo mode here. Okay, live demo mode. Okay, so I believe you guys are seeing what I'm seeing now. If you can see my little cursor here, we're going to click on this and we're going to configure the Stream Deck. Okay, that popped up, which shouldn't. Oh, it's over here. Okay, let me pull it. Okay, now this is the Stream Deck, and then we're going to hit this little guy here, which brings up the Stream Deck store. And now that we're looking at the Stream Deck store, we have our sound effects. Just click that there, and this is exactly what I'm saying. We can hear these sound effects. Okay, and you see, like, I'm not sure if that came through. Let me check the audio here. I'll play this. Okay, yeah, so it is coming in through the system audio. So what you do is that you would click download, and then they become accessible through the same the same place where you would change the icons in the configuration, and that's how you would do it. So what Paul did was he downloaded those. Okay, let's see. Okay, and then we're there. Okay, we should be back. And then what Paul did was that he downloaded those, and once he finished downloading that aspect, he was able to just play them. And like I said, with audio hijack and just a recording program, he was able to record all of them and then just use them. She says, what kind of mic is it? Yes. Okay, never heard of the Samsung. Well, yeah, Samsung is a brand. Like the one that you're probably gonna hear is the Samsung Q2U. You know, that's the same brand. It's not Samsung with a G, it's Samsung. So it's SAMSON. Samsung is a reputable microphone company, you know, so I already knew them as a microphone company. That's why I was just like holding my, you know, like crossing my fingers and be like, I hope this is a pretty good microphone. And it's actually like, you know, it's really impressed me, especially for the price. $20. I can't even tell you, it was a no-brainer. The guy even met up with me like halfway, you know, through, I think I got it through OfferUp or Facebook Marketplace, which I always recommend. If you know what you're looking for, you know, it's just scroll up there and see if you get lucky. And I got lucky with this microphone. I'm looking into a dynamic microphone, but the ones that I've seen have all been like top addressed, where the microphone like is pointed at your mouth, which is cool, but I really like the aesthetic of a front facing microphone like such. So I'm looking that if I am going to get a dynamic microphone, because I want to see what a dynamic sounds like compared to a cardioid or a condenser cardioid here in this space that's untreated. I know that the dynamic microphone should sound better, but I haven't found one that I'm willing to like invest in, because right now I have this one, which was a steal of a deal, and the one that I want to get, I'm looking for something that is going to be front addressed microphone like such, because I like having it in the shot. It's already part of my like workflow, you know. Having the microphone here is part of my live streaming like flow, right? Like my workflow. It says a steal of a deal. Yeah, Now, I'll tell you the truth. The reason why I got it was because it had a broken mount. And then I was able to find this mount, which is, to me, even nicer than the one that was broken with it originally. And I found this one on Marketplace for $10. So my total setup ended up being $30. The microphone is in pristine condition. What was broken was the mount. So I got that, and then I got this mount. And so happens to be that this is a Samsung branded microphone mount. So how lucky did I get that I got a Samsung microphone and a Samsung branded microphone mount completely separate off two separate deals, and ended up paying $30 for my set. So Sammy says I have too much gear. That's subjective. Too much gear, you know, like if you can have it, that's all on you. Now the only thing that I try to do personally is like I try not to have gear that I don't use, you know. So if you're using it, more power to you. Have as much gear as you want, but just make sure that you're using it, because if not, then it's just a little bit excessive because you're not using it, you know. It's there for no actual reason besides just having it. That's how I feel, but to each his own. Still, if you want to have it just to collect it because you collect stuff, who am I to tell you anything, you know? I have a small little collection of vintage cameras that are rolling up on that shelf up there. Old school, you know, SLR cameras, but what can I say? I got really good deals on those. It says, great, no capture card on the ZV-E10. Thanks. Yeah, that's why I said there's a lot of benefits, and the fact that you're going to get a high quality image through an APS-C sensor with microphone, with power, no dummy batteries, nothing needed, just one cable in the camera. That's super convenient. And I mentioned that always. I was like, people don't realize who this camera's catered for, and like if you're a Twitch streamer, this is going to be the best camera that you can get. Just straight out of the box, good colors. And that was one thing that Alicia really enjoyed. He was like saying, I always enjoyed the Canon colors that I got from my M50s more than my Sonys. You know, the Sonys, you do have to tweak them a little bit. That's part of the things that I enjoy doing, but I digress. He really enjoyed the look and the colors that he was getting from the ZV-E10 straight out of the box. Okay, so we have someone here says, you know what happened in China? No, I don't know, Jacob. Sorry, I don't keep up with current events. And, you know, unless it has to do with cameras, yeah, this is the MrCameraJunkie live stream. So, unfortunately, I don't know what happened there, but I'm also really not worried about it right now. Maybe tomorrow. It says, I'm MrCameraJunkie. I'll probably score a short SM7B for $25 off the guy who wanted it. I wish somebody was selling an SM7B for $30 because I wouldn't even fight him. You know what I'm saying? That would just be like, when can I meet you? Where and when? Let me know. I'll be there. It says iRig has a 3.5 millimeter cable that adapts to XLR. Maybe I can just plug the 3.5 into my mic. Yeah, Marga, not kind of, but yes, you could exactly do that, and that's what the iRig is designed for. It's so funny that I had a conversation, and I think it was this week because so many things have been happening with Derek, and he's actually like the media manager for iRig and IK Media. So I was just having a conversation this week about the iRig series and all that stuff, and the availability for it. So if you have it already, definitely use it because that's exactly what it's designed for. You can use it for both like a computer so that you can connect a XLR type microphone to a computer through that same 3.5, and it gives you an instant interface, or you can connect it directly to the camera. And like I said, the ZV E10 still has a microphone jack, and it's the 3.5 millimeter jack. So just put that iRig into that. I would tell you on all Sony cameras, or basically on any camera, when you're plugging in an external microphone, take the preamps from the camera and bring them down to just 0, where it's hearing no sound, and just click one up, because you don't want the electronics from the camera itself to cause noise in your audio. And when you're bringing in external audio, it's gonna more than suffice the amount of gain that it needs for the camera, so you'll be able to apply a nice dynamic or condenser microphone onto your cameras just with that type of connection. So for those of you who didn't know, you are able to do that and get a much higher quality upgraded microphone, even if it is XLR with adapters like that. Doc Rock, yeah, borrow his stuff because Aloha Spirit. Yeah, and I know he has one, you know, so that's what I'm saying. It's not, and if he needs a camera, I'll be like, here, take my 6100. You know how to use it. You know, you got this, okay? Just let me use that ZV-E10 so I could run a live stream, which, in all sincerity, I'm probably gonna have him on it anyways. If he's gonna be there, why wouldn't I? I'll just have him like, yo, Doc, we're gonna run my live stream. Let's go. I'm gonna use your camera, but you're gonna be there. So I found Peter Gregg from MrCameraJunkie stream. That's so awesome. It's pretty sure use the HTTP. No, not clickable overlay. Okay, so we're talking about the support me thing. We gotta check that out. Hey, what's up, Matt? Saying hello, Lewis. Sorry for just joining in now, bro. We are going on 3 hours. I'm getting towards the end of the comments. Thanks for stopping by. I know where you're at, so I appreciate you stopping by. If you ever see my late night live streams, you now know that they could run up to like 2 a.m. Eastern time, so you might catch a late stream. Always happy to have you stop by, so that's super cool. I'm thinking about live streaming. Would you recommend Ecamm even though it's paid? If yes, which tier would you recommend? Also, how does it compare to OBS? Okay, if you're using OBS on a Mac and you're capable to do it, OBS is absolutely free. I was using my best computer was a Windows PC, and when I was running OBS, I had issues with OBS even though it was lighter on the program, like on the computer. I mean, it was lighter as far as like what it was pulling as far as specs. The computer that I have here, thanks to Randall, is a monster machine. 3 terabytes of SSD, 64 gigabytes RAM, and a 2700X Ryzen processor with dual 1080 video GTX video cards. So this thing can handle everything. And what I then preferred to use over OBS with that setup was Streamlabs OBS. And I was happy with even the free version of Streamlabs OBS, and I was able to produce a pretty nice live stream, something that I was happy with. The one thing with Streamlabs or with Windows itself is the fact that it would decide to update in the middle of my live stream. So if I was running a 3-hour live stream like I am tonight, most likely during this live stream it would have decided to say, hey, you know, you've been on the computer for 3 hours, time to do updates. And it would just do the updates in the background, and I could be having a conversation like this in the middle of my sentence, and the computer would just shut down and reboot to apply these updates. And it happened plenty of times. So that was one of the main reasons for me to have moved away from like that system. And then I had the ability to start using Ecamm, and Ecamm for me made everything super easy. On top of it being on the Apple platform does not cause updates to do auto like reboots unless I asked for it. So that was right off the table, right off the bat. And then the fact that this program really does make a lot of things easy. It really does. And now that I have the Stream Deck to accompany it, it's like this. I'm able to just click of a button here, or maybe here. Let me go to Ecamm. Oh, let me not do that because it's not the Ecamm. Let's see. Okay, so the Vcam, but as you can see, we have everything here that, let me take that last little bit off here. And this is just basically like my bare bone image. Also, another thing that Ecamm allows you to do is actually easily go into the 4K broadcasting through the program, because it's basically already pre-designed to optimize your stream. Just as long as you have enough bandwidth, you're good to go. And yeah, so many like options. Like, I'll go to show you again, because I had done it before. This is the live demo mode, so that you can see exactly what it is that I'm seeing. It gives you all the functionality. I have my overlays here, which is basically everything that you're seeing. So if I wanted to bring my like border, as you can see, it's just a simple click there, and that brings my like motion overlay into effect. Then I turn on my buy me a coffee and my other like show me the support to actually link so my little graphic over it. And then the last one, which would be, you know, my list of buy me a coffee supporters, that's always scrolling at the bottom. So that's basically my setup. On top of that, it can just easily, as we can see here, have the scenes where I can switch from all of these scenes. Because of my issues with the cam link and the capture cards today, I haven't really been switching too much, but this gives you a full production suite that right here, right, like I can go into this aspect, and actually, you know what, let me hit this and this, right, and we're back to like normal. I can now go into this aspect here, and this same shot, as you can see, I just opened up this camera effects overlay, and it gives you the ability to do like a pan and zoom. So I can take this and now crop in and make a completely different shot. So even though I'm using the same exact camera, I've completely changed the look of what you're seeing, and I can save this as another camera and then just put a specific timer so that it only plays for like a couple of seconds, and then it will go back to like the original set there. All of these options are easily done, as you can see, on the fly, and it even has this option here where I'm showing you the behind the scenes. You know, this is one of the big key features when it comes to Ecamm, that it has this live demo mode, allowing you to see exactly what I'm dealing with in the background. I can see my audio levels here, sound effects, whether they're system audio or not. It gives you complete control. Sound effects, and as you can see, this that we're seeing here are the comments and how far along. This is how far back I am on the comments, and if I want to bring a comment onto the screen, it is as simple as clicking this, and now it's on the screen, giving me the ability to move it around, center it, and there you have it. And then I have set it already in the background where you actually, like, after 30 seconds it automatically just takes the comment and just removes it, because I'll forget and I could be on a rant talking about a completely different thing and it will just still be up there, but after 30 seconds it automatically just goes down, so you know we can keep things moving. But those are the reasons why I prefer Ecamm over everything, is the ease of use. And you know, this might sound corny, Hassan, you know, because I've said it before and it sounds like, really, is that the greatest feature? But yes, and it's gonna sound corny, but the greatest feature about Ecamm is the Ecamm community, hands down. If you were here from the beginning, on top of that, like, the Ecamm community is why I automatically already spent so much time on the Facebook groups, just doing the same thing that I'm doing here tonight, just trying to provide value and help people with their photography and video in any way, shape, or form that I can. And just me being, you know, helpful and trying to be the best version of myself and to give as much as I possibly can, I have been able to now become part of the Ecamm mod squad, you know, and I am an official Ecamm moderator of that group. And that's just because the company itself is also so genuine and so, like, forthcoming, that they see the value in people themselves. So it's such an amazing tight-knit community that we're all helping each other, that is probably the best selling feature of all when it comes to Camlink. Yeah, like, you know, you could probably get a lot of these same things done, even maybe for free, through OBS or Streamlabs OBS, but the community that's based and built around the Ecamm and the Ecamm family, that can't be bought, and that can't be gained for free, so to speak, like through OBS. Just, you know, OBS, you're literally on your own, and if you have an issue at all, Ecamm is there and they got your back. And Doc Rock mentions this story a lot. You know, it was kind of right when I started getting into this with Ecamm itself, but during this lockdowns of the previous year, everybody started getting online and started doing something like this, like a Zoom meeting or some type of live like event, mostly just getting digital with cameras. And when people started trying to connect a higher quality camera, the highest like requested item in Amazon was pretty much this Elgato 4K video capture card or any video capture card. And they were hard to find because they were just being sold out everywhere. So Ecamm saw the need in the market, right? They saw the fact that people were trying to use their program to like upgrade their production, but at the same time they couldn't find the hardware to connect their cameras to do so. So they were just stuck at a loss. And I believe within like 48 to 72 hours, you know, like within 2 or 3 days, the you know, the main guys of Ecamm, Ken and Glenn, had already implemented a like workaround within the program that allowed you to use a lot of cameras that like could have that ability, like the Canon M50, to be plug and play via USB, you know. And that's not even going by like what we're talking about, the companies doing it themselves in the cameras, but that Camlink themselves, they took it upon themselves to just put a lot more cameras to be working natively through the program, and they did it within 48 hours. So that is like the difference between Ecamm and all the other programs, like the community and the response that you get from the company itself. Like these guys are constantly, and I mean constantly, day by day, month by month, working to make this program better for you, to make it better ease of use. And that's where I think that no other company could really match Ecamm. That's one of the main reasons why I use it, and I recommend it. Remember, I don't shoot Sony at all, but Sony cameras are all over here in Orlando for peanuts. I only shoot Fujifilm X series and Fujifilm GFX medium format. Just wanted to let you know. You're gonna need to we're gonna need to set something up, because we can start, you know, like picking up these peanut cameras and then just shipping them off to South Florida and selling up for a little bit more, make a little profit. It's only gonna help. 4 more hours to go, Louis. Yeah, right. All right. It says, hi, Randall. Marga, it's Camera Junkie Crew t-shirt idea. Wow, Marga. Well, thank you, but I say thank you because that's actually one of the things that is already in the works. The Camera Junkie Crew, or hashtag CJC, is already on the way. And a couple of other things is what I'm wearing today. Today, I'm wearing my... Oh, let me get this so we can see it. Boom. Limited edition gold version of Upgrade Your Skills t-shirt. Now, I just got my hands on it. This is part of the new wave of this, and on top of it, right now available on the Press and Sew website is new Upgrade Your Skills extra large coffee mugs. Those are being sold for like $15. Like, it's just, I think, the cheapest that I could put it. So it's just to get it out there, and just wanted to give back. I'm working with Sylvia and the Nixons, Andrew and Sylvia, to see exactly, because even though I am gonna have the Camera Junkie shirts available, I'm also going to have the ability to to I'm gonna be providing a special discount for like the actual Camera Junkie crews, so that like that you can get it at a cheaper rate, just so that, you know, me trying to just give back to you guys. So just like as a gift to me to you, that's already in the works. But it's so funny that you mention it. And talking about this, oh my god, there's so much to go into now that I'm actually a guest speaker at the Leap Into Live. If those of you, and I'm just mentioning this now just so that I can get it out, if you haven't gotten your tickets to Leap Into Live and you are interested in getting into it, go to the leap.live. I believe that's exactly the website. I'll put it in the comments, but get to the link, go in there, and when you go to checkout, even though it's just $20, you can put in the coupon code MCJ as MrCameraJunkie. So type in MCJ and you're gonna get an extra 30% off, which brings the $20 ticket down to $14. So it's a $14 virtual event. It shows them that you heard it from me, and then also you're gonna still get all of the benefits as far as like access to all of the passes and all of the benefits of like the extra programs of the value of $240 for $14. So if you haven't done it already and you were still on the fence and you were worried about it, also know that just put MCJ as the coupon code on the checkout and you'll get an extra 30% off. So that's all because I'm just a guest speaker as well, so it's just whatever value that I can provide and pass along to you guys. I'm just trying to do my best to so let you guys know that. Says hi Aaron. Margaret says Foley. Oh man, I'm still backed up. So we're talking about me and the Foley art with the Velcro. Says you can get those sounds and songs from Stream Deck software. I did get a copyright flag and challenged it on YouTube, dropped it. Okay, that's good to know too. You know, the fact that it even came up and it was challenged. So Aaron's saying hi Charles. We got the pairs working. Good feature, but I don't think it's subscribed to Restream just for that. Hopefully we will add more features in the future. It's good to hear that pairs is working for you. Copyright flag for sound effects. That's annoying. Yeah, that kind of is. Tech Audit TV is in the house. Hey, thanks for stopping by. Just got the Rode Wireless Go 2. Excited to test it out on some streams where I'm moving around and building stuff. That's great. You might also want to look into a lavalier to attach with it, you know, if you can, because it has that option and might, you know, like center the sound better and could allow you to put the transmitter like in your pocket so that while you're working around, you don't damage it. It's a lot cheaper to damage a like $9 lavalier or $20 lavalier cable and microphone than it is the actual unit while you're like running around, moving around, building stuff. So it's a nice setup. I think you'll be very happy with it, and with the 24-bit float system, yeah, just it's a great system. I was actually thinking about getting one of those, but to use it in reverse. So, you know, basically you have the transmitter, which is the microphone, that it captures the sound and then it sends it over to the receiver, which receives the sound, right? So you would put the receiver on the camera and the microphone on yourself so that the sounds that I make get caught by the receiver and then that gets recorded by the camera. I'm thinking about using it in reverse. So my plan is to actually get the sounds that are coming out of the unit here, right, and plug that in directly into the microphone so that the microphone now transmitting the sound that you're hearing, like my microphone, the sound effects here, like right, everything that we got going on, you know, Arnold, all of those sounds I'm hearing in my monitor here, but I'm tethered to the cable, I'm tethered to the system, and I want to be able to move around. So what I'm planning on doing is actually having the audio signal that comes out from the system to go into the microphone in. So now the microphone is transmitting the sound that I'm creating and that I'm making that you're hearing through the stream as well. And then I just plant the transmitter or the receiver on my end as the end source. I'm not recording it, but then I just plug in my headphones to that same audio jack that would be the out, and now I am hearing wirelessly everything that's being transmitted through the live stream, untethering me from the desk. And that's what I'm thinking. Like, it's kind of tough to spend a couple $100 on an untethering system, but that's what I said. I'm looking into it in the future. If I can find another use for them, then maybe I'll see about picking them up. But that's kind of like the idea that I have. I'm like, I can create a wireless system through that microphone, and then it's also still a microphone, you know, like that. If I need to use it as the microphone, it has that feature. But to just, like I said, to use everything that I have in my tech. I just got that also tech audit working well so far. I've got old Polaroid cameras. Oh, Marga. You and me both. I would like to say that that's dust. Is it? Okay, good. It is. But it's been sitting there. My old Polaroid cameras. And, you know, those are not really ergonomically great. Having the button in the front that you have to push towards yourself. Probably the worst shutter button in the history yet. Those cameras sold like crazy. Did Luria do a test and say that the capture card is better quality than the USB on the ZV-E10? I wouldn't doubt it. You know, I do think that the image quality is either limited to 720 or 1080p through the USB. I haven't had my hands on that ZV-E10 to confirm it either way. But at the same time, like I said, I saw the quality of the image and it's not bad. So there's different levels to 720p, and if it's a 720p that looks like 1080 or something like that, that's still workable, then it's actually gonna be, you know, pretty doable. But you're always, and I mean always, gonna get a much better signal straight out of the HDMI and using another source. You can get 4K out of these cameras. You cannot do that out of the ZV-E10 through the USB. Like, just, even if it was possible, they're limiting the camera to not do that. So for that reason, I can say, yeah, that's not something that's going to be coming out in that camera. I did see Luri's video, says Marga. Randall says, I'm a hoarder. I like my stuff. The problem is finding a place for them. Yes. And like I said, if you're using your stuff, that's great. More power to you. But that's where I'm trying to like be a better minimalist, so to speak. If I don't have a direct use for it and stuff like that, I'm trying to not add more clutter. Especially me here. I don't have a lot of space. Oh my god. It is 2:17 in the morning. This is awesome. It's gonna be wild connecting the iRig XLR adapter to the ZV-E10. Thanks to a good point about lowering the preamp on the camera. Yeah, that's gonna make all the difference. If you have the preamp too high, you're gonna get that preamp noise, and you know, just you could eliminate all of that automatically. Even with my Rode little micro, this one, the Rode Video Micro that I have for my A6100, and that's just standard, I still have all the preamps, and I recommend that for any camera. If you're going to use the on-camera microphones, no matter what, no matter which company, you're always going to be best by bringing the preamps of the camera all the way down to 0 and then just clicking it to ones or to the lowest that you could possibly use it correctly. And then if you really need to fix audio, you can do it in post to bring up those levels, but just as long as you have the noise floor down as low as possible, so that when you boost the levels in post, you're not boosting that noise floor with it. It's Labor Day weekend and MrCameraJunkie is filling in for Jerry Lewis. Labor Day non-stop weekend, raising money to buy cameras for the kids. That is hilarious. Jerry Lewis marathon. Says, wow, Jerry, I watch that every year. Memories. That's funny. says, doesn't sound corny at all. I have no experience with live streaming. Pretty new to everything. Well, check out the Ecamm community. Just today was thinking about joining Tom's Create More community. Definitely check them both out. I believe the Ecamm community on Facebook is open to the public. So even if you're not using Ecamm and you have questions about it, trust me, you're gonna see me there. I'm a moderator, and there's just, even if it's not a moderator, just people that are just like me as well, who are willing to help. They're all there, and it's such, like I said, such a cool, tight-knit community. You won't be disappointed, and it could be the deciding factor on you also joining the Ecamm family and using them. Now, Ecamm, like I said, is particularly to Mac. So even me, I went and I got into an older 2012 Mac Mini, and I was able to use the Ecamm with it just because I wanted to use Ecamm as my program. I tested it out and I haven't looked back. I won't change. Like, there could be other options, and even Restream is something that's available with Ecamm itself, because Ecamm becomes a virtual camera and allows you to do all of these things, like add the overlays to everything. So everything that you see here on Ecamm is not only for just the live stream, which is more or less what you would get with the OBS, but like I use this for Zoom meetings. I use this for any time that I need to connect with the camera. Ecamm runs the entire program. And when I tell you that, like, I log into a Zoom meeting where everybody's camera looks like, garbage. Speaking honestly, they're using their front-facing camera on their iPhone and with the cracked screen, and it's got lines and it's dust in there, and you could barely see the people, and it's overexposed. And you see that, and then I come in with an image like this to say, hey, what's up? And that same Zoom meeting, like, it makes such a huge difference. So presentation makes well, let me rephrase that. Nick Nimmin always says it's called visual authority. Like, as soon as you see it and nobody has to tell you it looks good, your eyes tell you it looks good. You're like, that's amazing, and then you're just like kind of glued to the screen. It says, check out the Leap into Live Bootcamp. It's free and sponsored by Ecamm Live. It will be full of gems. The gold looks nice. Yeah, limited edition gold. It does look nice on the black. I do like it. And yeah, I've sent some out because it was just the first batch of prints. And there's some people that I was able to, as a sign of appreciation, send them out a couple of shirts of the people that I was a guest on their shows, and that it was kind of like a co-op thing, like a covert thing, that I was able to send them out these shirts without me having to ask them for their information, because Sylvia already had that information as far as like their addresses. So it was just like I was able to give the Nixons a list of names, and I was like, this is my first set of like shirts that are coming out that I want to go out, and so don't be surprised if some of you as well get certain gifts coming to you, because I'm trying to do my best and show my appreciation, and I'm just trying to give back as well. So Randall is telling me to go to bed, and I'm going to do so. 3.5 hours today. Wow. I will think twice about my coffee intake next time. I'm even sweating right now because the AC's been off for so long. But everyone, there's still 7 of you here. Thank you for hanging out. We're gonna go to bed now. Thank you as always for spending your most valuable commodity, which is your time, here with me. I appreciate it more than you know, and I'm always happy to help and to provide as much value as I possibly can. So if you're up for it, we do this every week. You're more than welcome. I would love to have all of you back asking questions, getting to know each other more, and like I said, just trying to provide as much value as I possibly can. So with that being said, thank you. Have a great night. Have a great week. Okay, because we're gonna do it all over again, and I will see you here next week, the same time, same channel, 11:55 p.m. Eastern time, and join me here in the Camera Junkie crew as we do it all over again. So once again, thank you, have a great night, and I will see you all next week.